shit.
Yeah. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the next podcast. That is right, people. We are on season 3, episode 11, and I am super excited for tonight's show. So much has come down the pipeline within this week when it comes to gaming news. Like, man, we got hardware news. There's news about games. Overflowing. I can easily do a 4 to 5 hour podcast, covering all of it. But I think we have definitely rounded it down to the most important news that has come out. Huge shout out to the chat. What is up, people? It is good to see you guys. My brother Sleepy Goblin is awake tonight. What is up, Doggy Dog? What is going on? Anime Heaven, good evening to you as well. What is up, Velvet, and everybody in the chat? Guys, you know what to do. YouTube does not like to do its job, and they leave it up to us. So hit that thumbs up button. Share this out on social media. Let people know that next podcast is live right now. Yo, shout out to Doggy Dog hitting up that super chat early. He said, "No crap gamer here. That's worth a couple bucks." LOL. Doggy, it is good to see you in the chat. Thank you for the support, bro. Guys, we were going to be short a couple people, but it seems that, we got at least a 4-man crew. We got another guy coming in a little bit later, and I am really glad because I think we need the most amount of different opinions when it comes to the topics tonight. So let me get into the intros, starting with that hardcore gearhead on this panel. But guess what, guys? I will let you know something. He does play other games as well. Crispy, what is up, bro?
What is up? I had a little hiatus, and I actually play the game. Can you hear that? Somebody needs to hear that. Okay, all right, yeah, but hopefully you missed me a little bit. It feels like forever. It's only been a week, but I have to be here. It's something that just has to happen every Saturday night, and I'm glad to be back.
Now, Crispy, I got to ask you something. As a YouTuber, a gaming podcaster, when you can't make a show, I gotta know if you feel the same way I do. Dude, does it feel awkward when you're like supposed to be on a show, but you have other plans, you can't make it and stuff like that? Do you feel awkward for like those 2 hours or so, like from 7 to 9, or is it just a me thing?
I feel like there's a place in my heart that's been replaced. There you go. And when I can pop in and I can't actually speak, it kind of drives you a little crazy because you're just like, I gotta go and support the guys real quick. But I'm like, man, I really wanted to talk about that. Damn
it, dude. I feel the same way, man. If I can't make a show, like, I will like it, I will share it out, but I will spend very little time listening to it because I know I'll be like, man, I missed that topic tonight. But it is good to have you on, brother. I hear that, you have you and a certain other person on Twitter have been doing a little back and forth. It seems like your Twitter handle is getting very interesting. I hope you guys are having fun with it at the end of the day, and I think I should move on to the next person.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Guys, next on the list is a man. He is under the weather. I don't know what type of illness he has right now, but I do thank him so much for being on the show today. He is coming live from the 405, and he's only trying to talk to the intelligent gamers out there. My brother K-Mega, what's up, bro?
What's up with you, man? What's happening? What's going on?
Dude, you got that T-virus, bro?
Bruh, I hope not. I hope not. I had to check my temperature, and this shit is kind of higher than it needs to be. So we'll see. But yeah. But I'm good. Show must go on. If I fall out, y'all will know.
I got you, man. Well, I think what it is they did come out with a leak for Spider-Man 2, and he might be catching a fever to play that game. I think that might be what's going on right now, man. I think the only cure is actual Spider-Man 2 information.
If that game is already coming out this soon, I would worry.
Well, not. Well, we'll possibly we'll get into that. That's in my extra topics because the next man that I am introducing has helped me restructure my topic formation, and I can't thank him enough. I actually love how I have been doing this lately, and it is all thanks to this guy, Predator. What is up, bro? Okay. Was that a scratch?
That was he's still muted. So
He's still muted. Hey, he is finishing up his anniversary duties probably right now, but he did jump in. So hopefully we'll be hearing from him soon. If he doesn't know it, he is muted. But on that note, the show must go on, and I think first things first. I think we got to talk limited edition console. That is right, people. Cyberpunk 2077 Xbox One X limited edition console with a controller. Video dropped today. It leaked out like 2 days ago, maybe yesterday. I think it was 2 days ago. I put the picture up there. I know there's a delay. I did put the picture up there, but let's go to Crispy real quick. Crispy, Cyberpunk. This is an environment that I can get into. I'm into punk music. I'm into sci-fi tech stuff. What do you think about the look of this limited edition Xbox One X, bro?
I like one side of it.
What?
You know, I like the side that has no future on it. I think that looks really wild.
Is that the backside?
That's the backside. So I'm a rear end kind of guy. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
but
From what you told us, your girl is as well. So, you know.
Oh, Jesus. but I feel like it, from the back to the front, it just doesn't feel cohesive. Like it just, and then the controller kind of, I feel like everything is like separate, including the console, back in front of it. Like it's something a little strange for me. Now, I will say this has got to be a good thing for Xbox to be going this far with their partnership here. And I think that's a big thing. I think we're going to see some pretty incredible stuff come from Cyberpunk.
Test.
Especially on, there he is.
There we go.
Right when I'm getting into it here.
No, go ahead, man. You can skip my intro.
Get into it, brother. Get into it.
But I feel like it's like a color blob on the front of it, and I'm like, I wasn't expecting to see an Xbox One X custom console right now. With next gen right there. It's at the tip of our tongue. We're ready for next gen, and we're sitting here and we're looking at this thing, and I don't know. I think a lot of people are going to purchase it, to be honest with you, just because it's Cyberpunk, and this is probably the only console you're going to get for it. I just kind of wish that they maybe went Series X with it, and it did something a little less color splashy. I feel like we're looking at a mechanical box that's really a mechanical box, and they're painting it a mechanical box. So. I just, the controller I do like the controller, and I hope they sell it separately. I think a lot of people will purchase it.
The controller has etched into the black part. I think it's etched. It could be painted on, but it says that no future thing on the black side as well. Like what you were talking about.
Yeah.
What you were talking about, you liked on the console. So, I will say personally, with what Cyberpunk is, like, that futuristic cyberpunky-ish environment, dealing with tech and augments and stuff, I can see this console fitting into that world. The controller, I'm a little meh about. Like, I was weird when the PlayStation 4 Death Stranding limited edition console, I liked the console, but then the controller was like that see-through amber color for that container that held the baby. And I didn't really like the controller. I seem to go against the grain here. Like, I like a lot of consoles that people are like, no, I don't like that. And then people are like, but I like the controller. And I'm like, I really don't like the controller. So I guess I go against the grain. But when it comes to the game and like putting the system in the environment, I think it fits well. That's my opinion on that. But K-Mega, what do you think, brother? You see this thing here. You got the blue-gray, you got the gray in the middle. To me, it looks like a futuristic kind of like fuse box type situation. Cyberpunk deals with kind of like almost like a dystopian future, but a punk techie version. What do you think about the look of this, man?
It's ugly.
Really?
I mean, I wasn't given the PlayStation control, the way that the PlayStation thing might look, console might look, and I'm not gonna give this a pass. It's like I said, I mean, this is the X, so it can be flat on his belly, so I don't have to worry. It can be flat on his belly, so I don't have to worry about looking at it. But standing up like that, it'd be an eyesore. And like I said, I don't really care about the way a console look. It's about the controller, because that's always in your hand. So the controller is cool. I can work with the controller, but the console itself, it doesn't even give me a cyberpunk. It looks like it doesn't give me a that type of.
Looks like a factory fuse box.
I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like something from like a Transformers box or a trash compactor box or something.
Wow.
It's hideous. I'm not. It's hideous. But look, Cyberpunk Day One for me. I know the game is going to be game of the year, for sure. Especially after playing Final Fantasy VII Remake myself. It's one of the things to me though.
Hold on, you bought Final Fantasy VII Remake?
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, I went ahead and got it.
Oh, he could not hold back. He had to play it.
I had to get it because I love Final Fantasy VII. So I mean, I just but I mean, I don't know. I talked about it. We had a big long discussion on GRG last night. It was really, really funny because PK had his thoughts about it. Knuckles had his thoughts about it. I had my thoughts about it. So it was cool though. But yeah, no, I mean, this doesn't look like how I would picture the Cyberpunk console to look, because
Too bright,
even
right?
though in that world, from what you see, it's hip, it's grimy, you know what I'm saying, but it's hip, it's got some flavor to it, it's got some more pizzazz to it, neon stuff like that. This doesn't show nothing like that to me. It just,
if they made a neon one, like one with neon lights, that'd be insane,
yeah, like
bro.
I mean, like that's what I'm saying. Like I don't know who gave the approval for it. I mean, but I you know what I'm saying, but it's not the business for me. I don't see it. I've seen Xbox Pope's versions of what he's done with it. Looks absolutely fantastic. It's just that I'm glad that this is the X and not the Series X, because that's what I thought it was at first. And I am happy. I would be happy for just the fact that I am happy that they're doing custom consoles. It's about time. But I have to be realistic. It's just not attractive. The controller is cool, but the console is not
Dude,
attractive.
that sounds like something you might have said to like some chick in high school. Yeah, I just got to be honest with you.
Yeah, you
It's
got
not big deal, but you're ugly as fuck.
you got a fat ass, but you're just not attractive in the face. Sorry. So yeah, that's
Paper bag. Here we go.
No. Oh no.
no paper bag. But but that's the thing. I gotta keep it real, man. I mean, I'm thinking about that PlayStation DualSense controller and how that console could look like, and it would just be white and all types of crazy stuff and just look like an eyesore. This thing would definitely be standing up for sure. It would distract me. I just like,
dude, if you lay it
down,
then the part that glows in the dark, you won't even see it because according to Crispy, that's on the backside. When you shut the lights off, it says no future and it glows in the dark, man. Not cool.
What part says glow that it
it's the
glows
backside,
in the dark?
the side that you're not seeing on this picture right now. The black side. It like when you shut the light off, it glows in the dark and it looks like it has etched into it. It says no future.
On the back of the console. Well,
Yeah.
that sounds cool. Now that sounds like Cyberpunk.
They should have
See,
put it on the front, right?
They should have put that on the front. Like I said, like you just look at the trailers of everything that they show. There's always some kind of neon. There's some people with there's swag to it. There's it's a little grimy, but this, like I said, this just looks like a trash compactor. Like they just said, hey, look, this is one of the. Hold on, let me just do this right fast. Okay, baby girl, what do you think about this console right here? See, she's like, it's weird looking.
She likes it though. She likes weird. She's with
one out of
you,
five.
man. She
One
likes
out of
weird.
5. I mean, 1 out of 10. What would you give it?
7.
She give it a 4.
Oh!
So and she's not a gamer, so she just came in here.
Couldn't even get the 5, man.
Damn, couldn't even get to the halfway.
Yeah,
mark,
this is Cyberpunk X version. It's not the Series X though.
Did you tell her the other side glows in the dark? It says no future.
No, there ain't no need to tell her that because
okay.
she's already made her. Oh no, right now.
She's
Okay,
already proved. She already proved your point. So why?
Right, she proved my. She
Yeah.
proved my point. She proved my
Gotcha.
point. So.
Yo, Predator, first off, I do want to say on behalf of the panel and the chat, happy anniversary, bro. I cannot believe you actually got a female to hang out with you for that long, man. It's insane, dude.
Yeah, usually I kick them out after about an hour, but I mean,
Oh, damn.
I decided to let this one stick around for a little while.
It was funny. I saw pictures of you and the missus, and I was waiting for pictures of you and Mrs. K Mega, but they never came on Twitter. What happened, man?
She was holding the camera.
Listen to this.
Hey, hold on. I was not gonna get into no K Mega baby girl jokes today. So like,
I was giving him a pass. This is anniversary. I was like, hey, I was gonna say congratulations, and you had to come mess it up, bud.
You can still say happy anniversary, man.
Yeah,
I'm the one who
thank you
started
for all
that.
the likes and stuff like that on Twitter, man. Thanks a lot for everybody that did that too. So she appreciated it because she's not a gamer at all. She thinks like she's not a huge gamer. She's not a gamer at all. And so when I tell her like, yeah, when I give her some appreciation, some props on it, because I kind of keep my gaming life separate from my real world life. So anytime I put my face out there and give some props to her on Twitter, she's like appreciative of that. So thanks for all the likes and stuff like that. I appreciate it from everybody that did that.
All right, now, since all the nicey nice is out of the way, man. I gotta ask, are you with everybody on this? What do you think about the Cyberpunk limited edition console? The look of it, bro.
Oh man, I was really hoping this was fake. I ain't gonna lie. I just realized, I just learned that it glows. I guess the decals glow in the dark. I'm not sure which ones. I'm looking at the picture now, and I'm sure it's like you see like a teal looking. I guess at the top part, right in the middle of the top of the console. I'm assuming that glows. Maybe the bottom one glows. The yellow one glows. I mean, honestly, when I first saw it, the first thing I thought was it looks like some shit from Record. It just reminded me of like the boxes you open in Record. Can you see that now?
Yeah, damn. Now I can't unsee that, dude.
So that's what I thought. And then the controller just looks like it was like just thrown together. I won't say it that way. Like it doesn't seem like it matches the console. Like it just the black and silver doesn't really mesh well with the yellow and the other grays and stuff like that.
I heard the controller is supposed to represent Keanu Reeves' character in the game.
Okay, whatever.
That's why.
But no one knows that because we haven't played the game. And here's my biggest issue with this. Like, why now?
Dude, that's exactly my thought. Go ahead, man. Fill it out for us, yeah.
Okay, so we've been begging for these consoles all year, like all generation, basically. Like they'll release some like the Nike ones and stuff like that no one can get their fucking hands on.
I want that Nike one, man.
You gotta kill a Smurf and choke a midget to get one. and they finally released like this is the first, if I'm not mistaken, the first 1X custom console. If I'm wrong, tell me.
The Gears 5, that's it.
They did but like we've been asking for this, especially from the third party games, like forever. And they finally do it, and the game's not coming out until September, which I know isn't their fault. But it's also at the end of the generation, when no one's really trying to buy a series Xbox One X right now, knowing that the Series X is coming out right around the corner. So what they should have done was, this is just me, and hopefully they still do this later, have a custom Series X console like this as well when Cyberpunk releases, like, or when the Series X releases.
Just looks better, right? I mean,
just yeah, I mean, it just looks like, okay, we're I understand that they thought maybe this game was supposed to come out now. They probably put the money into it.
You can definitely see, they had it in production. I guess they thought the game was really coming out before it got delayed. They had everything ready. Dude, I feel like when it comes to Xbox this generation with like third-party marketing deals, I feel like they have had a curse.
They've had a fucking huge messed up. Every single one they've done.
Yeah, every single one. Either the game, for some rhyme or reason,
or
is
some
garbage.
Fucking bodies talking shit about the console before the game before it released or something.
Yo,
one of the three. Bro. Like this would have been great last year. Or it's like even with the Minecraft one, the 1S one they came out with, that would have been great about a year prior to that. Like, they're always behind the power curve when it comes to releasing.
Well, that's when the game was supposed to come out, was last year. So,
yeah,
so you could tell they was holding on to it until then.
Yeah. Oh, you talking about this or Minecraft?
No. Cyberpunk was supposed to come out last year.
And I get that, but you can always pull back and say, okay, let's not do this now. Let's do the Series X one instead, and we can release it. They can still get the game. You're going to be able to play the game on the Xbox One X and the Series X. Blah blah blah. Let's just do a Series X console. That should have been the smart move. Releasing this console in June, the game doesn't come out until God knows when. Do you even get the game with this console? Do you get a digital code for it?
That's a great question. Like, I know the video dropped.
You do.
Today.
They already announced it that you are going to get a digital copy of it.
But you'll be able to pre-download it, and you're just gonna have to wait for the release
until the game comes out. Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah.
I mean, I just think like the console is ugly. Okay, I'll just go ahead and say it now. But I think it's also just a little late in the game. Like, why do this now? Like right now. Like, this is something they should have done. Again, the game came out when it comes out, but like the custom consoles should not be coming out now. They should have been coming out last year. The year before that.
Pred, I definitely hear you on that, and it's something that I'm gonna ask the rest of the panel as well. But when it comes down to it, I'm looking at this as they put this out as maybe a sign to show that, all right, now we got all our ducks in a row, and moving forward, you're gonna see more limited edition consoles. Moving into the Series X, you're gonna see more Series X limited edition consoles, but I don't know, this late into it, me personally, I would have just started with the Series X, instead of locking this down so late in the generation.
Even I can think of right now is because maybe they have a Halo one coming out this year. They don't want to compete with Cyberpunk. That's the only thing I can think of. They might have other consoles coming out down the road, and they've already invested the money into getting this console out, that they might as well just push it out. I just don't think it's going to sell very well, especially considering the game's not coming out until September.
Yeah, that part is a curse.
They just did it. Yeah, that's what I was saying. That's why I had to disagree with you on that one, Bodice, because I think that they were at the point where we just been holding on to this. We might as well just send it out, because the game was supposed to come out in last year. Then it got delayed until April, and then it kind of pushed everything else, because Sony did their pushback of The Last of Us because of Cyberpunk, and Final Fantasy was all going to be kind of clustered in. So Sony moved back, then Final Fantasy moved back, and then here we go, and then all this stuff happened, the pandemic happened, and everything else. But I think they just kind of look, we can't hold on to this, put it out around the same time that this console, around when we're about to launch our new console, and you might be right that they might have a Halo Series X custom edition
I'm
to be
hoping.
available. So you can't do that because it kind of feeds off of each other, and that would and people would be and I think people would go more for the newer item than the older item. So it's best that they do it now and get it out the way.
Yeah.
And I think that they probably looked at it was like, hey, you know what? I mean, we've been had it. We doing it,
What's the
and I mean,
price of this? Did anybody
yeah,
know?
that's the price. Yeah, that was another thing I was going to say.
I'm sorry.
No, you're fine. I
Wouldn't
mean,
it
I just
be?
want to say
It's a
that.
limited edition console, so wouldn't it be $500?
No, I don't think
No.
so because they're selling
No,
all of the
no.
bundles at 300 right now.
Yeah, so it'll probably be 300.
I would
I'd
say
say
400 then.
350,
It would be
350 or
400.
4. 350 or 4, I think. And you gotta, the one thing I'm gonna say is that I understand that you're coming into a new console generation. One thing I'll say is we just got my girlfriend's son a console, and yeah, they're basically sold out. We had to pick one we weren't really into, at least on the Microsoft store. And if you go on Amazon, you basically have to get it out of a third party or something. So we went on Microsoft store, and I wanted to get him the Jedi Fallen Order one, and that was sold out. And then the Gears 5 one was sold out. And then I kept going down the list, and then I had to go with the one that I guess was made for 2K 2K20, but for some reason it doesn't come with the game, but it's the one that's white with the speckle pattern. That like basically it looks like they splash paint on the white console.
Hold on. It's an NBA 2K bundle that doesn't come bundled.
It doesn't show it. I think it was made for that, if I'm not mistaken. Like, so I don't understand what's with that, because we went and they're like, and it was the one that said save $100, which is the same price as all the other ones, $299. And I'm like, okay, but it doesn't come with anything except your month of Game Pass Ultimate, and that's it. And I'm like, all right, what's going on here? And then I go and try to buy a controller, and I'm like, yeah, you have no controllers either, and you're the Microsoft store. Like, what the hell?
Gotta get the elite version too, man. That's what.
No, I'm not doing. No, he's not that hardcore like me yet. I'm just saying. That's some money you got to throw down. And I will say this: that controller is awesome so far. That controller's
dude, I absolutely love mine. Love mine. But we gotta check out. We gotta hear about the view from the West Coast when it comes to this. Our brother, the Angry Otter himself, Mr. Goldblum, aka Dark Optimus, is here with us. And bro, from over there on the West Coast, where you guys are rocking the sandals, you don't really deal with a lot of rainy days. What's the view when it comes to this limited edition Xbox One X, man?
I see why they did it. Because CD Projekt Red has already come out and said that there won't be right away. There won't be Cyberpunk 2077 on the Series X or the PS5. So I think what they're looking at is probably a year after those consoles are out, and then we'll probably get the upgraded version. Well, unless they do like a free update or something like that, which I'm guessing that's probably what they're gonna do with especially the Series X, because they already
with
said
the Series X
that's what they're gonna do.
They're gonna use smart delivery, and it's not gonna cost anybody anything extra.
Right, that's what they said with the Series X. So it's kind of like I see why they did
check
the
this
Cyberpunk
out
one.
Real quick, just check this out. Can you imagine if when the Series X version drops, they have a Series X limited edition that somehow, some way, when you put it up next to this one, like creates like this whole thing.
Yeah, it'd be kind of cool.
Saying?
Yeah, that would be cool. But I think the reason why they're doing it for the Xbox is because they have such a good relationship with Xbox and Microsoft. CD Projekt Red has stated it in the past and has stated recently that they have a beautiful relationship with Microsoft. So this custom console, it's ugly. Yeah, I'll admit that it does not look good.
So you think it's ugly? Okay.
It's definitely. I think the saving grace of it is the controller, and then also getting the game with it. But yeah, I've always been one to not like custom consoles anyways. I don't like the fact of buying custom consoles, but I get why people would want to buy it because, it's something different, something new. It's something that they have that not everyone's going to be able to have. So I get that. For collectors and people like that, I get that part. But for me personally, yeah, I don't buy custom consoles. I mean, I might buy that custom controller if they sell it separately.
Dude,
Um,
Dark, I was just gonna say, even though I'm
yeah.
not a personal fan of the controller, I
Uh-huh.
think that controller is gonna sell like crazy, dude.
Yeah, I think the controller looks cool. I like the way the controller looks, but if they make a Series X version of it, that would be even better. Um, because I think the Series X is gonna have a better D-pad and a better, just overall, controller in a way. So hopefully they do something with that when the Series X, launches. Well, probably not when it launches, but maybe like 6 months or a year down the line. Um, but it seems like when Cyberpunk comes out, um, we'll probably have maybe like a month or two when the Series X comes out. So I'm wondering if they're gonna have something ready already to update the graphics, or update certain things to Cyberpunk for the Series X version. It's gonna be interesting to see how they play that one out.
I got you, brother. Now, the other aspect here, coming out with this when the next generation is kind of like right around the corner, and like again, I understand the game was delayed, all that good stuff, but do you think it was a good idea to drop a limited edition console now, um, as opposed to possibly waiting for like making a Series X version down the road somewhere?
Yeah, I think the reason why they did it is because they're like, well, they probably already had it in the cards to do a limited edition console,
Mm.
and since they had to push the game back until September, like, well, we already have these consoles. Microsoft was probably
Gotta do
like, we already
something
have
with
these
them, right?
consoles. Yeah, we got to do something with them. So I think that was because it looks like it was entitled for last year, or well, not last year, but what, April or whatever. So it seemed like maybe we would get a limited edition console, because it would have taken them a little while to build up this console,
Yeah.
to make it look the way it looks. So
It had to
it
go through
sounds like,
design and everything like
yeah.
that. So this has
Does
been signed on
So
for a while.
does
right.
anybody
So
have the concern that I feel like, with us all thinking Lockhart exists, that this is definitely a little weird? I
no, I
mean,
don't. I don't think
I
so
love the
because
whole Lockhart thing because so many people told me on so many shows that this thing does not exist, and now you have Brad Sams, other people close to Microsoft saying, "Guess what, guys? Lockhart does
but
exist."
yeah, and that's where I go
I
and say,
think
like, why did you know what I'm saying? Like,
I
that's
think the
just
reason why they did this is because they have a great relationship with Microsoft already, and they already probably had this in the works with them to do a custom console, because they know Cyberpunk's going to be a really big seller on the Xbox because The Witcher 3 was a huge seller on the Xbox, so it's definitely going to have that, appeal to it. So I'm
Mm.
sure people are going to gravitate towards this console. Even though we're at an end of a generation of a console, does not mean there's other people out there, because we're the hardcore. The other people out there that
Oh,
that
thank you.
aren't like us, where they're going to buy the Series X or the PS5 right away. They're looking at this console and they're like, "Oh, it's this custom console. I think I'm going to pick it up because it might be worth more than, you know, the regular series or the
Dude,
regular X or whatever."
this might get as collectible depending on how many people pick this up. This might get as collectible as the Sea of Thieves controller. Have you
Exactly.
guys seen how
Exactly.
much people are
Yeah, those
charging?
yeah, those go for a lot. A
Oh my
lot.
goodness, man.
Yeah. And just imagine if they did a console for it.
This would be like a $3,000 console. No, oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta
yeah.
switch this
So
off to gameplay, people. I'm switching
yeah.
the picture off now, guys.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to look at, right?
Well, I'm like,
They
if
should have
someone-
stuck with all the gray. I think if they went like all the gray with like the mechanical components, I think it would have went better, in my opinion.
it would've
Yeah,
been
but
plain.
I think them adding a little bit of neon like K-Megas would have been way better too, because you think of Cyberpunk, you think of neon, you think of the neon lighting and the neon clothing, the neon graffiti and stuff like that. You think like if they would have added like graffiti to the console, it probably would have given it a little bit more of a cyber feel, especially since this game really revolves around the gangs that you're going to be going after, and the way you portray your character as, so it would have been nice to see something a little bit more cyberpunkish.
I still
This
think it has a
this
Recore
feels
bot looking feel to it, to be honest with you.
yeah, right, exactly. That's when I saw it, I was like, that looks like Recore. Okay.
Wow, yeah, I will never be able to unsee that now since Predator said
Yeah.
that. I'm gonna think Recore. But guys, I think we've covered that enough. You know, everybody out there in the chat, you heard our thoughts, you heard our opinions, you either agree or disagree. It is time to move on, and we are going to move on to a subject that Mr. Christopher Hart might not like too much, because there was a rumor that came
What does
out.
Christopher Hart like? That's
When
the thing.
when we praise PlayStation, that's what we got to do. Like, even though he didn't seem too excited when I was like, "Yo, the DualSense controller to me is the best looking controller that Sony ever came out with." I thought he was going to be like, "Hell yeah," but he didn't really get on my side with that, man. I don't know, but a rumor came out, and again, guys, I want to reiterate, this is a rumor, all right? Before people go out on Twitter and say, "Oh, Xbox saying this is officially true," and all that good stuff. Like, it's not.
You said it
it's-
was true, bot. I don't know what you're talking about, dude.
This is a rumor, but the rumor is that after disappointing Death Stranding sales, Kojima might have lost Sony funding. Now, when you get into the article, it's not necessarily that Sony has given up on Kojima Productions and stuff like that, but Kojima wanted to make a VR horror game next. And that seems to be where the funding rug got pulled out from under him. When it comes to Death Stranding, I don't see too many people out there on social media like throwing numbers out there when it comes to how many people pick this game up or anything like that. You guys already know my feelings about Death Stranding. I watched so much gameplay, and you guys already know what I came up with in my opinion of the game. But again, Kojima wanted to make a VR horror game, and supposedly, according to this rumor, Sony was like, nah. I think Sony, if this is true, Sony is realizing that this guy might need a tighter leash, might need to be reeled back a little bit sometimes. But, we ended with Dark. Let's start with Dark. Dark, first off, when it comes to this rumor, do you think that this is true? Okay, when it comes down, think that this rumor is true. I am emphasizing that for everybody out there, by the way. Do you think this is true? Do you see it in the cards as Death Stranding disappointed Sony in terms of how many units were pushed out there? And do you think like the relationship between Sony and Kojima? How do you think it's gonna fare if it is, man?
I think the rumor is probably false. I don't see Sony giving up on Kojima, because he's still such an icon to the industry in a way. Even though some people don't consider him that, I don't really consider him that either. But a lot of people do consider him, a big icon in the gaming industry. So I don't think that PlayStation has given up on making money off of Kojima.
Do you think that they might realize that they might need a
they might
leash
have
on
to
him?
they might have to put a little bit of a leash on him, but I think the people who did play Death Stranding did enjoy it for what it was. I played it. I'd enjoyed it for what it was. I never finished it, but
How
that's
come I
because
feel like I enjoyed it for what it was? Might
yeah,
be like the passive way to be like, yeah, it was okay.
right, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It was okay. It wasn't the best game. It wasn't the worst game, but it was definitely had something there that was unique and interesting. But it was boring. It was a boring game. Let's be
You can
honest.
say it.
It
You
is a
can say
boring
it,
game.
Dark. Yo, just speak your
Uh,
mind, bro.
yeah, it's a boring game. Um, but I think Kojima just wanted to do something different, and that's what he strived to do, and that's what he did, and Sony ran with that, and they didn't make very much money, which kind of makes sense because I mean, if you look at I know how you say meta who
Meta
a lot of
who?
times. A lot of times, but you got to realize that like a lot of people do go to those websites and you know base a lot of their opinions off of other people's reviews of things. So
That's stupid.
I know it's stupid. I know it is stupid, but you got to realize that people do that. So
You said doo
you
doo.
know, okay, um, but you know, people will go and look at those websites and be like, okay, well, a lot of people disliked it, a lot of people liked it, so they kind of base their opinion on if they want to buy the game off of that. And I think the sales of the game weren't shown because it didn't sell very well.
Also,
I think
the
people
sales weren't
did
shown.
buy it. I don't remember anything
Like
about
I
sales.
don't see people on Twitter cheering like the amount of copies that went out. You know what I'm saying? That's what
Yeah,
I was stating. Usually, if there was so many million copies went out, there's certain people that follow my Twitter that love to share that information with me for some reason. And
honestly, what the game was a another notch on PlayStation's belt to say, oh, we have a game coming out in the fall that's exclusive to our console at this time. So that's all it really was.
dude,
And I
you
think a
brought up
lot of
Meta.
people went out.
What was? Do you remember the score that it got on that
I
crappy
think it was like
ass structure of a review?
60. I think it was like actually I think it was like in the 80s, somewhere on
It was
there.
80s.
83, I think,
83,
something like that.
something like that.
It's
Yeah.
something close to that.
So
Yeah.
it's still got a high rating, but a lot of people were looking at the reviews and saying, "Oh, well, it's boring." If you look at a lot of the reviews that are out there, which I do, I know you don't, but you don't base a lot of your
Dude,
stuff
I'll
off of
start
that. I
making
don't base off
reviews
of
just
my
so
stuff
you
off
watch
of
my channel more, okay?
that. I don't base my stuff off of that, but I do like to look at the reviews and see what people's opinion of the game was. And usually they're wrong about the opinion of the game, but in this circumstance, they were pretty accurate on how the game was, and I think a lot of people took that and was like, if the game's boring, because a lot of people nowadays they want multiplayer, they want action, they want something that they can jump in and just you know shoot the shit with their friends and stuff like that. That game is definitely not like that. That game is completely, you're isolated, you're alone. You're
You make it
climbing
sound
through
like you got to
things and
kick
stuff.
everybody out of the house. You got to turn all the lights off
Almost
before.
in a way, yeah. Almost in a way, yeah. You have to do that. But I think at the end of the day, the game did fairly well enough to where Sony is like, we're gonna give Kojima another chance to kind of redeem himself in a way. So I think we'll
So he
see another
burned a
game from
chance.
him.
They're giving
From
him
his
another chance. So you're saying that he burned a chance, is what you're saying?
No, I'm saying that they're giving him. Well, you know the saying, give him another chance to do it, to do another game or whatever. So I'm sure Sony's gonna just give him, you know, another game to put out there, and they'll probably bring back the reins a little bit and say, hey, we gotta,
You're not doing that horror VR game. You're
yeah.
doing what we
I don't,
say.
yeah, I don't know if they're gonna do if he's gonna do a horror VR game. That I just don't like the fact that he's gonna do VR because I mean I don't think VR is that big enough to have everybody want to go in and play it. Especially, you look at the games like Half-Life Alex, like that game is gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's an amazing VR game, but you don't hear too much about people playing it right now. You know, what do you hear people playing right now? They're playing Final Fantasy VII Remake. They're playing
Journey
Fortnite.
to
They're
the
playing,
Savage Planet, baby.
yeah, people are playing that game, or they're playing, a car racing game like Forza or something like that. You know, they're not really playing VR titles, right now. So it's even though that even though Half-Life Alex is a great game, it's not being talked about in a way that all these other games are.
I think Half-Life Alex is being looked at as that killer app for VR, but we covered this, I think it was a couple weeks ago. Um not until Medal of Honor comes out, and they're
Yeah,
starting to, develop an actual game library. That's when
yeah.
people will, their heads are turned looking over at the VR side now because of Half-Life Alex. Now you add like
I think
Medal of Honor and stuff like that, and people
yeah.
start walking over in that direction. You know what I'm saying?
I think VR will be bigger next generation. I think a lot of people will gravitate towards it, depending on how much it is, though. Too,
Mm.
that's the biggest thing is VR right now is a little bit pricey, especially if you want good VR. If you want, just a simple VR, you can get a PlayStation VR, but you're not going to get the best experience out of it. So
Yeah, I think everybody knows that. And Christopher, I am not ignoring your question. I am talking to my brother Dark right now. The only
what do you say?
reason the only reason why I asked for that number is because my brother brought up that
I
whole
did.
meta crack bullshit situation over there. And so, I kind of, for
I
information's sake,
and I'll answer his question. Yes, it did. The Metacritic score did matter when it
no.
came to Ori, but not to us, not to people like
That to
us.
you.
To other people in the community, it mattered to them, and
Nice.
other people that do care about Metacritic score, it did matter to them. So yeah, it did matter.
All right, brother. I do want to go. I want to go to the businessman on the panel when it comes to this. So I gotta go to Predator. Pred, like I said, this is a rumor, right? But we're hearing, Sony isn't sharing numbers, and they love to share numbers when it comes to like how many units sold and stuff like that. So, do you think that this rumor could possibly be true? And if so, what do you think the effect will be in terms of like Sony and Kojima Productions kind of like business relationship here?
So let's say, okay. So there were talks about Sony purchasing Kojima Productions, correct?
Yeah, at one point in time.
Did that happen?
No.
No. So you're hearing these talks about them letting him make Silent Hill, which kind of got debunked. You're talking about VR, which and honestly, I think where there's smoke, there's fire. Let's put it that way. I think the game sold subpar. Um, and
Two to
just
3 million at best.
yeah, and with the amount of money and effort and time they put into it to get it out as fast as they did, I don't think they were happy with the results of the game. And now Kojima's coming to them and saying, "Hey, let me make this other game now." And they're kind of like, we got other priorities right now. We got to get this console out. We don't really on all this money for you to come out with another subpar game. And there's a reason why someone of his caliber got released from was it Konami he was with?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Or
Konami.
and like earlier you said like you think they let him stay on because of his namesake, but why did Konami let him go? I mean, like his Metal Gear Solid franchises were doing fairly well.
Well, that's because they were getting out of the gaming industry. That's why they weren't. They were going to pachinko machines.
But they're still in the gaming industry now, though.
Yeah, because they
For
realized
now.
that pachinko machines
Yeah, for
didn't
now.
work out.
You're right, and but they're still in the industry. But like the way they shat on that guy, when he left,
Mhm.
that was a another stain. Like I mean, like it's not Konami, it's him, and you got people with these personalities, and I've heard stories about this guy, like, his entourage of security and stuff like that, and how he acts. And stuff. I mean, I don't know. I've never met the guy. Don't plan to. Don't care to. But I've just heard the story. So like, I just think that there's smoke, there's fire, and so like, I don't really see them wanting to put that kind of money. And right now, especially with everything going on in the world, and with them trying to get this console out, if they want to back that game, whatever game it's going to be, and especially with it being VR, if it was like another game, maybe, but with the way I think everything kind of turned out, I think they're going to pull a backseat and let him just kind of like do his own thing, and maybe his next game will be multi-plat instead of being under.
Oh damn! You think it could go that far for his next release going into multiple platforms? Then,
if Sony's not going to play ball the way he wants to play ball, why wouldn't he?
Yeah, he wasn't cool when Konami was like pulling the reins back and everything like that. I mean, it's one of the reasons why they split ways. Like Konami didn't want to give him, as much freedom as he wanted, and they wanted, tighter scheduling, and they wanted stuff done when he said it was going to be done and not delayed and all that good stuff.
And look at it this way, like he got this game out a lot faster, I think, than most of the games he's
he did.
Correct.
Yeah.
You're looking at, they're like, okay, we gave this guy a chance. This next game's going to take like 8 to 10 years. That's going to be a shit of money for us to put into, a Death Stranding 2 or, whatever the hell else he's trying to come up with. And I don't know if they want to wait that long. Like, I don't think they really want to wait another 6-7 years for him to come out with another title and spend that kind of money. It's going to turn into, another like a Scalebound incident, or something like that. And I will say this too, because I think one of you guys alluded to it before, but like, doesn't this game kind of sound like a passion project?
Oh, I don't use that phrase, dude. I don't. You're talking to the rest of the panel now, man.
I've heard people like, they get on to fruit. No, well, you hear people talk about the games that other companies for Microsoft.
Hold on, is Don in here too?
Yeah, he's in here.
Yo, the Don!
Man, I was trying to be smooth. What the hell, man? Let the man finish.
Well, you shouldn't have spoken up, Don.
I know.
No, I was just added to it, so you kept rolling.
I was waiting for him to like drop some kind of knowledge real quick, but instead he just had this little word real quick. Usually he's just like, you're wrong. Here's why you're wrong. There you go.
Right? I know. That's what I was waiting for. I was waiting for him to tell me that I was wrong.
Yeah, I had my window open. I keep smelling weed, man.
That's not me either.
Is it that skunk weed too, man?
No. It smells like a THC cartridge. To be really honest with you, that real potent smell.
One.
Yeah.
Last statement, and I'll let you guys move on. But like, to me, it seems like when you hear everything that was going on with Death Stranding and how things are coming abroad now with Kojima, it almost sounds like this was a passion project, and he's not getting his opportunity to make the project that Sony wants him to make. And I hear people giving some of the studios Microsoft picked up a bunch of shit for Microsoft allowing them to make passion projects, and we're dealing with the same situation here with Kojima. That's just my stance on it.
Nice, brother. And perfect timing, because I got to shout out my brother, Sir X-Man, hitting up that super chat, supporting the channel and the show. He said, I feel like playing Hot Wheels. Who's in for that? Brother, I'm down after the show. We ordered pizza and everything like that. Usually I'm tired after the show.
Yeah, we know, Bob.
I think I'm good to go, man. And I will say,
don't make promises you can't keep, Bob. Because we know
say,
you always say that, and then you never show up.
I will say, when Hot Wheels first came out, I was like, man, what does this have to do with Horizon? I didn't really get into it too much, but going back into it now after a while. I gotta say, I'm having a lot of fun with the Hot Wheels, and I gotta ask, K-Mega, did you see Cocaine Mountain before?
Yes, I did.
Oh, yes, brother. I had Cocaine Mountain gameplay going on, man.
I saw that. You bumped like 8 cars.
Dude, I said Cocaine Mountain, and he says
You'll
bump.
see some real Forza racing later on in this
And he
segment.
said,
nice.
But I said Cocaine Mountain, he
That's what
said
I'm talking
bump.
about.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I have no idea what that means, but okay,
Yeah.
whatever.
All right, yo, shout out to Michelle also hitting up that super chat. Thank you for the support on the channel and the show. Says can't even buy VR headsets. And Michelle, I actually did see your comment before, while everybody was talking, basically stating that one of the things about Half-Life Alyx not really, building up a lot of people playing VR is the fact that people can't get the VR headsets. Now, I believe you can get an Oculus, one of the 3 variations when it comes to Oculus. I don't think there's a shortage there. I know for Valve's headset.
It sounds like I need to sell one of my 4 headsets sitting next to me here.
Oh no, he made a throne out of VR headsets, and it's what the Don sits on whenever he's either streaming or he is podcasting.
They're there to collect my dust pretty much right now. I don't use it very often, that's for sure. So.
All right, Don. Well, welcome to the show. Sit back, relax. I will definitely call on you. I do want to get to K Mega when it comes to this Kojima stuff. I feel like he might have a word or two when it comes.
I know he has some feelings about Kojima. We'll see what those feelings are, right?
He loves Kojima's interaction with the fans. I know that. Yeah. I know that. I and by his interaction, I mean the bodyguards' interactions with the fans. But yeah. Like I'm going to say, this is a rumor, people, a rumor. But on that note, K-Mega, you heard me ask, Dark, you heard me ask Predator, do you think this rumor is true? And if so, what do you think this means for the business relationship between Kojima Productions and Sony?
Absolutely. I believe it's true. I think that it's kind of what Pred and what Otter kind of alluded to. See, he's getting a further opportunity because of his namesake. But again, Sony is like, look, we only have so much disposable income to make your projects. So you reel it back in, or we're going to have to just shut it down and just not even talk about these negotiations of wanting to get your studio. Because it comes down to who was we know the man was a diva or is a diva, but the fact of it is he going to really is he going to want to make passion projects, or would he be forced to doing passion projects because of the fact that his money, because the money that maybe what he paid for for Death Stranding isn't going to come in. And so then he's got to make smaller games. I don't know if you guys remember that there was an article that he said that he wanted to try to make smaller titles, smaller AAA titles. Kind of sound like what Ninja Theory was saying, right? It kind of sounded the same way, right? But then it's still, people, yeah. But again, I believe it's 100% true, because he wants to, and there's nothing wrong with the fact that he has a vision and he wants it to be completely right. He wants everything that he wants it to be inside that game. But Death Stranding did not meet expectations. Even PlayStation fans know that. That's why they don't talk about the game no more. And another thing that Pred said that I 100% agree with is that his games are probably, this is why Sony is all kind of going into, if you look at the overall picture, this is why Sony's going to start putting all these other games on other platforms. There's going to be on PC, because this whole thing, Final Fantasy VII Remake didn't meet expectations. I talked about that on GRG, showed the article from Japan that it only sold 700 and some thousand copies, compared to Final Fantasy 15 that sold 5 million, which was a multiplat in one day. That we're talking about a week with 790 some thousand to one day with Final Fantasy 15 selling 5 million, which was a multiplat. the whole thought process of this exclusive stuff is going to go away with the dinosaur. Like, I mean, it's still going to be PlayStation's game, but PlayStation sees that they got to put their games in other venues in order for them to recoup a lot of the money back, especially if they're going to have if these games are going to cost a lot more money.
Well,
And if
yeah,
Kojima,
the money for development, but not only that, like, when it comes down to it, we have not seen a price hike, even though the money for development has gone up.
Right.
The $60 price tag has not gone up either. So, they got to make money some way. Just real quick, I do want to hit the super chat one more time before you continue. Shout out to my brother, Sir X-Man, hitting up that super chat one more time. He said the Don likes speaking in the back door. And I feel like that's actually true with him saying a couple words to let people know he was in here. So speaking or sneaking, either way, we all know.
He definitely likes to speak into the back door.
He speaks right into the back door. And shout out.
Strangely, you guys can hear me from there. That's the weird part.
It's like a microphone.
Yo, shout out to Nimble Piece Skinny Jeans Xbot supporting the show and the channel, hitting up the super chat with that 5-piece right there. Thank you so much. Definitely appreciate it. But
it wasn't
go,
$5, it was $4.99, bot. Don't try to give yourself a cent.
I round up, man.
You gotta round up, man. It's only a penny. What's a penny nowadays? They do nothing for you.
Yeah. Trust me,
You can't have that penny, damn it.
I appreciate every cent, okay? But yeah, go ahead, K-Meg, because you're right. Development is not getting any cheaper. And, like I said, the games aren't getting more expensive. So it would make sense to put it in a space separate from console gaming as well. I see where you're coming from, bro.
Right. And this person and I see somebody in the chat was saying that was only in Japan. No, in Japan by itself was only 79,000 units, which is really big for Japan. Overall, it's 700, and I gave it more. I said 790. It's 703,000 copies worldwide. But that's neither here nor there. The game's only been out a week, right? And there's this pandemic and stuff going on. There are people that wants to buy the game digital, and not digital, but physical, and they're having a hard time of finding it. Whatever, right? But with this whole thing with Kojima, his game is already going to be a multi-plat by the standards of stands because it's going to PC here in the next couple of months. So it's they're going to have to start making the decision of, are they willing to let Kojima run wild and make these games and bet on them, or are they going to hold them, or are they going to just say, hey, look, man, we only going to give you this amount, you do what you must with it. And if that's the case, I don't know the man personally or anything, but I kind of think that Konami did the same thing to him, and then you see where Kojima he went solo. So it could be already the start of the fracture of the fractured agreement if they're already going to be butting heads on a budget. But I don't think it's that serious yet. But it is clear that Sony is definitely saying, look, man, Death Stranding, it may have got all these accolades and things like that, but it didn't bring in the money that we were anticipating that it was going to bring. That's for sure.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to state as we're talking about this, and I'll speak for myself, and I think generally throughout the panel, nobody here is trying to hold Konami on a pedestal. We've heard some absolute horror stories on what they did to developers. Now, when it comes down to it, sometimes, negative does attract negative as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, misery loves company. And, just because the company did so many things when it comes to their developers doesn't mean that every developer there has a halo around their head either. You know what I'm saying? Like, but... So we're in no way trying to put Konami on that high pedestal when we're talking about this. But it does make sense that, in terms of hearing about Konami trying to tighten the reins on Kojima not having it, and now seeing that in this rumor that, quite possibly the next game he wanted to do, Sony was like, yo, pump the brakes on that, brother. Like, we had higher expectations for the game you just made. You know, we're trying to put everything together here.
I mean, just think about what that VR game would be like. I mean, it would be on the same wavelength of what the game that y'all was just talking about that came
Half-Life
from
Alyx.
Valve. Yeah, and that would be all well and good, but it's just like what Otter said. Nobody's game ain't sold worth nothing. And VR is just not. Listen, there's 100 million consoles out there, but there's not 100 million VR headsets out there. So for PlayStation VR. So what would be the purpose of making a big budget VR game and then taking your chances on hoping that it's going to gravitate to gamers out there to want to pay for this peripheral, and we don't even know how much it's going to cost for the part two. I know that it's going to be backwards compatible or whatever for the first one, but if you wanted to be on a higher scale and see everything the way it's and how it's supposed to be with this whole VR thing situation or experience, then of course you're going to want to buy the better product, which is the PS VR 2. So you're talking about it's the same thing that we brought up a couple of years ago about the PlayStation Pro and the VR. You're going to be paying $1,000 for a product plus the game. Well, I know the games will come with the PlayStation VR at the time, but think about Kojima's game. If this was true, that he was going to have this game, it's going to be $60 plus. Then you're going to have the PlayStation VR 2 for however much hundreds of dollars that's going to be, plus the PlayStation 5 on top of that. That ain't going to work. That ain't going to work. Just best for him just to make another game, and hopefully it will. I guess the Silent Hill things got debunked, but make something else other than that, in my opinion.
Yo, Chris, nobody. Where in what I said did you think that I said Kojima deserves to get fired, bro? Like, I have no idea how you could pull that.
He owns his own studio, so how
Yeah.
are you gonna fire
He's
him?
gonna fire himself.
Yeah,
He's
you
gonna
can't-
fire himself, man.
Yeah.
Yo,
He's gonna get the only thing is that he would get he would just go independent. He wouldn't
You just
be a
run
part
out
of
of money.
Sony.
Is what it
Yeah, he
is.
just run. Yeah, basically. Yeah.
yeah. Yo, shout out to Sir X-Man hitting up that super chat one more time. He says, Konami better give him his bloody roar. Brother, I'm with you, man. If that'll make you happy, yo, Konami, where's the game? My brother Sir X-Man needs it, so you better have it in the works. That's all I got to say.
Just so you
unfortunate
know,
thing with
Sir
that,
X-Men
though-
lives in a different time zone, and
Like-
it's separated by years, not
yeah,
not,
yeah,
not
exactly.
hours.
Because I was gonna say because there's not very many people out there nowadays that know what bloody war is. So you
Well, he's
probably
keeping-
won't ever see it ever again.
He's keeping the spirit alive, people, is what he's doing, man. I respect
It's
him for that,
understandable.
okay?
It's
I
understandable.
respect him for that, man.
Hey, they I mean, I got faith in it too, man. They re-signed
Well,
it.
you
so
have
that-
faith in a lot of games that are never gonna happen.
Hey, you're getting a
We'll
new
see.
Streets of Rage, so I'm just saying.
Yeah,
Game Pass day
Well,
one,
no.
brother.
Weren't you the
Game
same
Pass
guy
day
who
one.
had faith in Scalebound not just a month ago?
Wow.
Oh damn!
Yo, Crispy,
Oh.
Crispy, man, we got
let
it.
the
We
man
got to.
dream.
We got to get to you, brother. Crispy, we got to get your thoughts on this. Like I said, this is a rumor, people. I don't. How many times have I said that so far? At least like 10, right?
Dude, rumor. There you go. All right.
All right. I think I covered it. That we all know it's a rumor, but
You know, somebody's gonna be like, "But did say it was a rumor."
Yo, Christopher said that I basically. Am I saying that Kojima should be fired? Like oh man, I don't know, brother. We love you though. You got the wrench by your name, man. We appreciate you, bro. Yeah. But Crispy, do you think this rumor could possibly be true? And like I've asked everybody else so far, and I know Don, I got to get to you as well. But I asked everybody else so far if you do think it's true, what do you think this means for the relationship, the business relationship between Sony and Kojima Productions, man?
It's true. I mean,
Yo,
let's be
flat
serious.
out.
Well,
It's
no.
true.
It's true, and here's why it's true, because Sony is all for saying, "Hey, we sold this amount in this period of time." I mean, how many times do we hear about, Spider-Man or God of War or whatever, how many millions upon millions they've sold over a period of time. Now, they don't tout it like it's not crazy. It's like, they put out a statement and that's it, or congratulations, or this is great, or whatever. But, they haven't said a word about this game, and it hasn't come out that long ago. I mean, we have to realize that we're in a period of time where, everything's transparent for the most part. And, everything could be just posted on social media. Like, hey, we sold 3 million, copies or whatever, and the thing I say is that I actually, a lot of people don't realize that I played the game, and the game is like a movie. I almost spent 2 hours watching a movie.
Hold on, you played the game, sir?
I played the game for 4 hours, and then I brought it back.
Bro. Good job, yo.
I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it. I couldn't do it, and here's why I couldn't do it. I swear to God, if the guy just thought of, and I understand where he was going, like, we're not connected anymore, and actually,
it's true.
We're not connected, and that's where he was going, and that's where he was showing that us as a race, as a human race, is disconnecting ourselves with technology. The problem is now, the T virus has made us think otherwise. So it clearly he was wrong in his thought process. I'm just saying that. The thing I would say is, he needs to just make a movie, because the cutscenes and everything else that was in that game were very intriguing. They made me think about a lot of things. That's where I got that, the thought process that I had from the game just for playing 4 hours, because there was a good hour and a half, 2 hours of just cutscenes in that 4 hours. Okay. So what I'm saying to you is,
4 hours,
is that
you only played for like 2.5 hours out of
and
that
you
whole thing?
and you traversed the world, and that's where I go and say, if you had all those cutscenes and you involve some kind of mechanic where you're you feel like you're shooting or something like that, or even like what is it, Alan Wake, I think, or something, where you're putting the flashlight and you're hurting them or whatever, like, you know what I mean, like you had to make things to actually combat in the game, which
hey, Crispy,
probably
Crispy,
aggravated people.
Crispy, I'm sorry to interrupt you. Who Xbox, is this your gameplay of this game right here?
From Dust, yeah.
From Dust. I love that game, man. I played that on the 360,
Dude,
man. I beat that game. That game was so amazing.
Dude, I'm missing like I think 3 achievements before getting all the achievements, before 100% complete in the game. Dude, this game, when it came out on 360, it had me hooked. It had me hooked.
Hooked. I was like, oh my God, I'm sorry, Crispy, man. I just was like, oh shit, this is I need to go and look and see if I
but actually, that brings to my point, is that it doesn't feel like a game. It feels more like a movie. Like it's very strange the way it feels. And you know what? There's a place for it. And I don't hate anybody that's enjoyed the game. I really don't, because you know what? Like, even though I could only stand for a certain point, I'm a certain type of gamer. I need action. Like, yes, there were a couple points where I'm like, oh shit. But it's not enough for me to really get into it enough. And that's where, the guy has a place in this world. I mean, I think he's a diva, like K-Mega said. You know what I mean? I think he's very, it's the way I think.
You think K-Mega's a diva too, so...
Well, why you gotta put it on the panel member here? What's going on?
Why do you gotta put it on Crispy? We all think K-Mega's
yeah, we all think K-Mega's a diva, so it's all good, man.
But in general, like, it would be sad to see him, not be able to do what he wants to do. And I feel like that's what he did with this game, and it just didn't sell well. And you know what? Maybe PlayStation's like, you're not doing this again. You're not doing this. We gave you one chance and you screwed up. And, he might be, he owns Kojima Productions. Like, what is it without Kojima? I mean, it shouldn't be called that anymore. It's Productions.
Productions.
Okay, so in general, if you want to purchase, his studio, or you want to make it exclusive to your platform, you got to have a reason for it. And I'm not saying that this was a big budget game from what I see. I mean, it graphically was great, and everything
cheap,
else,
man. That wasn't cheap
and I mean, it involved the entire United States of America. Like, come on, like,
Honestly,
It's a double-A game, man.
honestly, exactly, that's what it was. It was a triple A looking game, but with double A
budget.
well, it had
budget.
no mechanics. It really had no mechanics.
Stuff like
It had you had certain aspects. You really, I mean, we all called it out and we all made fun of it, but you really feel like you're a postal guy just walking this earth. And like, it's kind of cool that PlayStation like allowed him to like use like the online components to like add things in there, through other players and everything else. That's really cool. But I mean, dude, imagine if it had some shooting in it or something. I think it would have done a lot better.
It does later on.
In some
later on in the game, it does have that shooting aspect that you were looking for. You just had to play through a ton of hours to get to it. You did.
How many hours?
More than a couple of hours.
It was more like 20 or 30 hours you had to play of it to get to that.
So. That's where I go and say, like, you waited too long then.
Yeah, it was definitely one of those type of games. I mean, I don't hate the game. I think the game is actually pretty good for what it is, for what kind of game it is. But
what the hell is going on?
I see where people are coming from, where they just don't, like you guys on the panel, you guys just don't like those type of games, which is understandable. It just makes sense.
Oh wow!
You want that stuff, yeah.
K-Mega's like the little kid that makes a noise everyone laughs the first time, so he keeps doing it.
How come I can see that? Yeah.
Perfect segue. There you go.
Yeah, well, Don, what do you think about this, man? Like, the rumor came out. It was earlier in the week. Like I said, my Twitter has a very varied kind of like group of people that follow me, and usually if a PlayStation game has sold a ton, I see numbers all over my feed and stuff like that. It wasn't really like that for this game, but again, with this rumor, do you think there's a possibility of it being true? And if so, what do you think the effect will be on kind of like the business relationship between productions, which is Kojima Productions, and Sony?
I mean, Sony's just a publisher. I think what people tend to forget about that. So, I mean, those relationships either can be strained, or they move on, or they look at where it's the best place for them to invest their dollars, right? So they just look at it from the sense of, what did we spend? What do we get in return? And is it worth it for us? And if they did the numbers and does it seem like it's worth it to us, I think you should read any more into it. Other than that, they're just making a business decision and saying, hey, maybe it's better off to invest in, say, a marketing deal, or it's better off investing into this studio, or maybe we want to purchase this. So they look at the landscape on that sort of stuff, and that's something that happens all the time. I think when you're a studio and you have a publisher, you need to understand you're written in pencil, not pen. That's how that works.
Yo, Don, just real quick before you continue, do you see that super chat?
No.
No?
What's going on?
Did you see the one below it?
No, I didn't look. I don't even have the.
You don't have it up? All right, just let me hit the super chat real quick, because Sir X-Man has done it once again. What is up, brother? Thank you again for all the support, bro. I really, really do appreciate it. He said, King of the A button. We know who that is.
Huh.
Pew, pew.
You sure it's not a mystery? I mean, we may never know who the King of the A button is.
Do you remember the Care Bear idea?
Yes. Oh, thanks. I was looking for new merch ideas, so that's actually perfect. Thank you.
No problem. But go ahead, keep going. My bad to interrupt, man.
But I mean, that's how you have to look at it with everybody, right? Like, any publisher, and somebody that puts out a product. that's what that relationship is, and it's no one should take these things personally. If you're like Kojima or like say Cliffy B or all these personalities that exist out there in the gaming industry, like publishers are simply publishers. They're looking to invest money and get return on their investment. And I think with Kojima, he's an artist, right? He's the type of person who wants to create content, whatever that content is.
He wants
Either
to make movies at some point. He already said that too.
well, if it's more of an interactive movie, if it's more of
no, like he really wants to make a movie.
Well, I'm not going to speak for him. I'll let you speak for him however you want. But whatever he wants to do as a creator, sometimes those are disconnected from what's a marketable product, right? And a lot of times they are. And so his job is to pitch and sell ideas to people that have money, right? Because he doesn't have the money. Other people have the money, right? And that's just kind of how that relationship always works. And if they feel like they weren't going to get the return on their investment based on the last product, then that's how it goes. But if you look at like his previous success, say with the Metal Gear Solid series, right? It got bigger and bigger and bigger because the games got more and more successful over time. Does that make sense? So you kept getting more and more of a budget, and it kind of grew into its own thing. And that's just kind of how that stuff is. And so I wouldn't read too much into it. I don't think he's done. I don't think this is his last game. Will he ever get as big of a budget as he did before? Oh, that one's a tough one. I don't know if he will, but we'll see. In regards to, he has to pitch one hell of an idea that people, all these publishers believe into, and I just don't know who you pitch that to, because he's got.
What have you done for me lately?
Can I chime in real quick on this real quick? Why?
Yeah,
because we're on a good topic right now. A couple when all this Kojima shit, when who should get him after he left Konami came up. I remember saying this. When has a well-known huge guy like on his level actually left and made a good game afterwards? Right? Like look at Kojima. I mean, some people can say Death Stranding is okay, whatever. Look at the guy who made Ninja Gaiden, Atagi, is that his name?
Atagi, yeah.
I don't even know the game he made once he left.
Cliffy B.
Cliffy B, yeah.
Cliffy B is a great example because he, yeah.
Cliffy wants to come back to do Gears.
Hell no! Go sit in your corner, boy.
Cliffy's game was not bad. Yeah, I played the beta. I had a lot of fun with it, man. I don't know, man. What was it? Lawbreakers.
Lawbreakers. It wasn't bad.
Yeah,
I was playing with my brother Fame Entertainment, man.
It should have came to Xbox. It should have been a multi-plat.
Yeah. But like those guys, when they leave, like when they go and try to do their own thing, like it never works out for them when they go on to another project and trying to be, trying to leave that franchise that made them who they are. They never seem to kind of pan out at the end, and they like Cliffy B wants to come back and do Gears. Like I'm sure if those guys were able to come back and work on the game they did to make them popular, now I'm sure that like Peter Molyneux, perfect example. Like when he left the Fable series, what the fuck has he done? These guys, they don't really pan out when they leave something they had a passion for.
But to that point, like I think it's people don't realize these are teams, right? It's not just one person that makes this project. Like you look at Rod Ferguson, right? For example, like the series he's going to is a very successful series already, right? And it's not to take away from Rod's success, but he's the type of person that's bounced around between successful series to successful series and just kind of kept the grease on the skids and keep everything rolling, right? And because there were good teams already. With these sort of situations, sometimes they may be super talented people, but they maybe never work together, and maybe it doesn't pan out. That's why I said, like, you can take some really talented people and put them in a band. Doesn't mean you got a hit on your hands, right? So like the secret sauce sometimes is everybody. It's not just one person. It never boils down to one person, and then people are shocked when that one person leaves.
Our brother Christopher just put in the chat before he retracted it that he liked Bleeding Edge. Shout out to Christopher Hart, yeah.
Oh wow, you just call him out like that? Dang, Bob.
Man, let him have his privacy about that, man. Jeez,
he put it out there.
He took it back though.
Yeah, he took it back, dude.
The internet never forgets.
Dude, there's at least 3 people in the chat that took screenshots as soon as that happened, yeah.
Oh, now he changed it.
So that I think actually that's a bigger admission than either he plays on PC or Xbox. I think that's something we're overlooking.
He goes to a friend's house and he plays
He's
under
not Game
guest.
Pass, man. Unless you are.
Yeah, that counts, man.
Yeah,
counts.
it's all good, man.
So
Welcome to the land of neutrality, brother.
And
Welcome
actually enjoying some real games, man.
Oh,
Good
dude.
deal.
Why you gotta do
Come
that
on,
to
there,
him,
Megan.
man?
No,
Why you gotta do that to him?
Hey, I'm just saying.
Mega, you do.
He ain't playing that shit no more.
You don't play real games. We know this already. You don't
Of
play any
course,
games.
Damn, you're right. You're right. I don't play anything.
Mega-
Hey,
Mega
Bot,
only-
where's my gameplay at, Bot?
That's for when we do all the gameplay.
Oh yeah, I don't know if he plays any games, but when he plays KI, he doesn't win. That's for sure.
Oh, get his ass on, he got to punch in on that.
Oh, you mean the he just taps the A button repeatedly?
Well, I believe there's a documentary on Twitter about it between me and him. So
Oh my god. I probably won't be seeing Don on fight night for about a month. He'll be all types of excuses.
I'll be there, but you and Sir X-Men will choose games from like early 360 era. So I'll be like, yeah,
They choose games
I'm
that no
good.
one's ever even heard of.
No, they heard of it. Just they have to Google it first before they're like, oh yeah, I remember that game.
Hold on, blow the dust off.
And be honest, it's not that K Mega's guilty of that as much as Sir X-Men is guilty
Yo,
of
listen,
it.
you do not go after Sir X-Man. Sir X-Man is my bro. You will stop with that blasphemy, man.
Hey,
Oh
listen here.
man, he stopped giving you off this. You'll be a fair game. No more super chat.
Man,
Fair
he is
game,
a-
Rex, man. Don't,
He has a
don't
library of
listen to that.
games, but I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Yo,
older than some of
that's
your
my
kids,
golfing
man.
buddy. What are you talking about? K Mega, you never went in on golf with us. I'm saying. That
Oh, I
dude
go-
that dude went
Does he,
hard.
does he sing? Does he sing to you too?
He didn't answer that one.
Oh my god.
Anyway, I think we're done with this topic, guys. I think we're
He
done.
sings the Romance in the Stone soundtrack to X-Spot when they play golf.
No, not at all. Not at all,
He'll
man.
start singing
Not
that.
at all.
What's
Sir
that song?
X-Man, do you hear how these people are doing you right now? See, I don't do that to you, bro. I'm
when
just
you're
saying.
playing golf, I had the time of my life.
Oh my god. You're going like Happy Gilmore feels
oh,
up
that
in
hurt.
here.
K-Mega, you might like that type of music, man. But when it comes to smooth music, I'm more like Dave Hollister, that type of stuff.
Man,
right
yeah,
there, man.
don't be trying to throw me. Man, I knew that stuff before you was born, son. Get out of here. Get out of here, man. Talk about some David Hollister. Get out of here. You don't even know where he originally came from. Where was he actually known from? What group?
Blackstreet.
Okay, all right. At least you got that. I shouldn't say
Oh,
That's
I shouldn't say
Hey,
group.
man.
yo, that
That's how I
deserves
know.
that deserves
Oh, no,
a
he was
super chat,
conceived by
K-Mega.
that
That
music right
deserves
there.
a super chat, brother, right there.
Bot knowing that tells me that he was born in test tube. I'm just saying.
Oh wow! why you gotta call my mom names, man?
Oh, man.
Yo, guys. On that note, let's get into next gen news. And this came from an article from Bloomberg, right? People know Bloomberg, that it's known for business side of things, and they reported that Sony might be going into next gen with a shortage of PlayStation 5s when it comes down to it. And they compared it, in 2013 when the PS4 came out, within the first quarter, I think it's either first quarter, first year, or something like that, they had shipped out about 7 to 8 million PS4s. Now with the PS5, they are talking about more like 5 to 6 million being available, being shipped out. And they're talking about a price point of, I think it was $499 to $550. Now, first thing right off the bat, I think we can all agree on this. And if you don't, let me know right now. When it comes to split pricing, adding that $50 onto it, I don't think that's ever going to happen. I feel like, the hundreds of dollars, like they want to keep it nice and round. I don't see any of these companies. I don't see, the Xbox division. I don't see the the PlayStation division, when they're coming out with these systems, coming out with a so many 150 for the console. Does anybody disagree with me on that?
I actually do.
100%. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start with Crispy. Why do you disagree with? Hold on. Before we do that, Sir X-Man, hand up the super chat one more time, brother. Said Don. Oh man, I'm choking. I'm choking.
Okay there?
I
You
appreciate.
okay
He doesn't
there?
have his water. That's the
I
problem.
appreciate it so much. I'm choking. He said, Don, don't hate
He didn't have
the
his test
past.
tube
bro.
formula.
He said, don't hate the past, Don. Don.
Hey,
Don't
I don't hate the past.
the
I just
past.
live in the present. So that's all.
Exactly.
But
The past is called the past for a reason there, Sir X-Man.
Hey, listen. I reminisce about the days that I had more hair, but I accept where I'm at right now, man. It's a cool with it. Like I'm okay
hashtag
with it.
Don
too.
B.
Me too, man.
Yeah. Well, Crispy, why?
How
do
many
you
times do I have
think
to say Don does not look like John B? Does not.
Don B?
You're-
His name's
You're not
Don
going to
B.
win that argument because it's catching on more and more
Yeah.
as time goes on, man.
All right, let's get back to Crispy now, guys. And one more super chat by Sir X-Man. Mega don't even know who Five Finger Death Punch is. I think Mrs. K Mega has taught him some of that. I believe, if I'm not mistaken. Mega, you know Five Finger Death Punch, right?
Oh,
Mega.
Megan, that's the perfect answer. Just roll with that.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Crispy. Sir X-Man, I know who Five Finger Death Punch is.
Five Fingers nasty, dude. Great in concert. Just saying.
Crispy, why do you think that that a split pricing would be an option? I've never seen that.
Really,
in the history
you haven't?
of console sales.
PlayStation's done it multiple times. They've gone to the 50 many times.
On the launch of a system.
Yeah.
When?
They launched PS4 Pro at 450, didn't they?
No.
No, it was 400. Crickets going on.
400. And didn't they come out with a custom that was 450? There's customs that they come out with for the 50s. So
Nope.
I'm not sure on
Nope,
that.
they
Man.
didn't do that.
Yeah, Dark's just telling you flat out. No. Yeah. So
yeah.
We'll come back to you, Crispy.
Don't give me time because I'm gonna put one up.
Think about what you just did.
Go ahead and try to look one up. I guarantee you
I
probably
think
won't
Pred
find
just
one.
put Crispy in the corner, man. That's weird. But
I still agree. Like, I still disagree with you with being bought. Like, I still think they could. I just don't know if they would.
I don't think they would, man. I don't think any of these companies would.
Okay, so I got a list here. I got Nintendo Entertainment System. We're gonna go back from the beginning here because Sir X-Men likes the past.
At launch.
So
At
at launch, $249.
Really?
The regular Nintendo.
Oh,
The
Damn it.
Wii was $249. The Wii U was $349. PlayStation 3 was equal on all of them.
yeah.
So it sounds like Nintendo pretty much was the one that has done that the most.
I'm not gonna go to Atari. Who cares about Atari?
I had a Jaguar.
So it's an alpha.
Damn, it just got really quiet after I said that. Like, I had a Jaguar.
Yeah, you
like-
said Jaguar. It was just like,
Everybody had a
man.
moment of silence for me or
Well,
I
it's
something.
want to
funny.
say why.
It's
but
funny. Atari
I
Jaguar is $249 at launch. Just so you know.
Well, I didn't
So-
pay for it at that time. That was a
Mhm.
family, family.
And
I was a kid.
and I'm skipping the portable consoles, but a lot of those are in the halfway mark as well. So
what was the
Even-
TurboGrafx 16?
it's here. I can find it. Wait a second here.
My friend had
Turbo-
one down the street from me, man. I used to
TurboGrafx 16
run
started
to
off
his
at
house.
$200, but that was funny because that console came out around the time where people were now just starting to pay $100 for like an NES or something like that, and then
Yeah.
TurboGrafx introduces the 16 at $200, and people are, well, what the hell are you doing? Yeah,
They had
I mean,
Slaughterhouse, man. They had Slaughterhouse.
It-
Box
there-
Adventures?
there's precedent for that. It's not more recent precedent, but there's been precedent for that to occur in the console. launch,
So do you think that the 50 is plausible then? Because I still don't. Even with what you said there.
I think what will drive it is trying to undercut people is what it boils down to. So if one of them does it or another, If it was the ability to undercut, like you undercut $25, no one cares, right? But you undercut someone by $50, people start scratching their head. Maybe that's the one to get, right? So if one's trying to get the edge on the other, right, and they all have like a value proposition they have to offer, sometimes the price is the easiest thing to do because the console is the console at that point. You really can't change a whole lot once it's this close to launch. So that might be the only leverage you have, and then you bank on software sales in regards, or in the case of Xbox, software sales and services, right? So I mean that's kind of, I can see that being the case. I mean I think rolling out certain prices, and here's the thing with Bloomberg, he's a really smart guy, but he doesn't have any clue what the prices are, because the reality is these
He's doing
manufacturers
guesstimations right now, right?
yeah, he's backwards engineering and doing some guesstimations to get where he's at, and that's fine. But I would look at it as just a grain of salt. Like he's taking a guess, just like anyone else. He's taking an educated guess from what he understands, but he doesn't know how much bulk they bought and stuff. He doesn't know the contracts that they signed with the suppliers. He doesn't know that sort of stuff. And Sony and both Microsoft had target prices when they were developing these consoles. They don't just go into this blindly in regards to that. And realistically, only a really super small circle within Microsoft and Sony and really know what the targets were, or if they even hit their targets, because they may have gone over budget in regards to that.
There's
So
signs, in terms of like the rumors about what they're paying for when it comes to a cooling solution and stuff like that. There's signs that they went a little high on production costs when it comes to this thing.
well, and the funny thing is, if you look at the vapor chamber technology that Microsoft implements, which is not anything new, they just doing their own in-house stuff and their own engineering and their own development. But they take all the stuff they learn from the Surface side of things. They take all the stuff they
Well, they save
learn from.
money by making it themselves, right?
Well, sometimes, not always. Sometimes it's cheaper to go through a partnership. I mean, that's just kind of how that stuff, because you have to do all your tooling and your development. So you sometimes it's cheaper to have a partner involved in those sort of things. But R&D is a big part of it, and then Microsoft has done it a lot on their Surface products. They all have like tiny little vapor chambers in a lot of their products. They have it in the Xbox One X. Now you're going to see the Series X. So they're not new to that concept if they have to do it in house, right? And every time you do different iterations, you learn more and more and more with that engineering team, and so what you invest starts outputting better and better products, and in products that yields cheaper over time, right? That's kind of how that stuff works. So
Don,
Sony's
real
going into it
quick,
for the first time. So
the geeky nerd in the chat, he said, wouldn't someone at like Bloomberg have like some contacts though, like at Sony, to be able to talk to and kind of at least like quasi verify the stuff that they're putting up? Because I think what he's saying there in terms of price.
Do that. No, they wouldn't even reveal that to them. In regards, that's all under lock and key until it's officially announced. But what they may have access to is maybe some of the suppliers they may be resourcing there, and maybe asking about like products and what they would cost in that sort of things. But and try to figure it out that way, and that's probably all they can really do at this moment in time. It doesn't mean they're not smart people or anything like that. It just means they just don't have the information. I don't have the information. I just know how that stuff works, and so that's the reason why they wouldn't have complete information on all that.
All right, so it's good to hear your opinion and stuff on that. Now, when it comes to kind of like the PS5 shortage, I said like 7 to 8 million when it comes to the PS4, and now with this one, we're looking at a couple million less. I worked at GameStop the beginning of this generation, and I will let you know, when we got PS4s in within that first year, we did not get a lot of them. We had a waiting list for people, stuff like that. I know a lot of people are talking about, this C virus type situation, but Bloomberg never really brought that up. In terms of manufacturing, I do know that a lot of the factories, if not all the manufacturing factories in China, are up and running again. When it comes down to it,
they're running, but they're not running at full capacity.
All right.
So they give you additional information on that, and I think maybe Bloomberg's also factoring that into pricing to some degree somehow as well. I don't know how, but there's a possibility of that as well.
All right. So, what do you think about the whole kind of like shortage thing? Do you really feel like it's something in terms of what's going on in the world? Because from what I've seen, especially like the stimulus checks, what we've seen from society from being in the house, I believe you heard Crispy talk about Xbox Ones being sold out at the Microsoft Store website, stuff like that. People are actually spending more money right now from what I see. So what do you think? Do you think this is in relation to what's going on in the world? Do you think this is more of a marketing thing? Do you want to hang your hat on the manufacturing type issue? What do you think is going on with Sony in terms of them coming out with possibly a lesser number of PS5s in comparison to like the PS4 in 2013, man?
I think what's currently going on in the world is what's driving it. When people are all worried about
Pred, I'm coming to you, Pred. I'm coming.
But when people are all worried about consoles being delayed, period. I really didn't. Delayed to the following year. I didn't think that was going to happen. I thought this would happen. I think quantities would be limited. They will still be ready to go, but it just won't have the numbers that they ultimately are looking to do. That's just, I think, the byproduct of the landscape of what we're dealing with right now, and eventually they'll get there. But a lot of places are just limited capacity because you can't have as many people in one space. It's simple math. I think in regards to that, and we don't know how much Microsoft will be affected by this as well. But I would imagine it could be affected a little bit more. It depends on how head start they got on getting the consoles manufacturing. So.
All right, I got you, bro. One thing I do want to throw in there, because I have done some research in terms of worldwide manufacturing. Now, I will let people know the country of Vietnam is fastly becoming that manufacturing company. It's kind of like, China started blowing up in terms of manufacturing. Everything was made from China and stuff like that. China is switching over to a more kind of like tech type situation. And now Vietnam is actually, they have the highest manufacturing growth in the entire world. And their gross national product is increasing and stuff like that. So I think it's only a matter of time before people start going to Vietnam over China in terms of manufacturing and stuff like that, getting parts put together, shipped out, and all that good stuff.
The country puts out their own goods and products, and that's always constantly in fluctuation. It doesn't surprise me. I know Vietnam does a lot of things on the mechanical engineering side of things, not from the engineering, but like the final product, people mechanically engineering in the United States and Germany and places like that. So, but that's outside of gaming. We'll see how all that stuff pans out. I mean, it gets really political really quick when we talk about this sort of thing, because not everyone's completely happy. So,
well, I just think it's gonna. I think China kind of like they built up in manufacturing to get to a certain point, and now they're kind of spreading out into a lot of other things, and that leaves room for another country to kind of try to do the same thing. And Vietnam, it looks like that's the country that's really trying to do that right now.
It may seem like that, but China didn't get where they're at overnight, and I don't think they're going to leave overnight in regards to competition to wherever productions can be held. So that's something that's 4 or 5 years further out, like looking. But let's give Predator a chance here, because I'm just here to hold him up, not necessarily take over his turn. So.
Oh, okay. Pred, are you there, bro?
Yes, I'm still awake.
All right. So Don's soothing voice didn't get you to fall asleep. All right. Yo, okay, Mega, thank you, bro. Game over? K-Mega hitting up that super chat. Brother, I will get you back, bro. Definitely. Dude, I actually...
Don't hold your breath on that, K-Mega.
I don't have any embers, but I will get some before this coming Friday, all right, bro? Uh,
No doubt.
You can take those Microsoft points from using Bing and buy Embers.
ooh. I use Bing as my search engine on my phone.
I
just
know.
so.
That's why I brought it up. All right.
Okay, nice.
But Predator needs a turn.
You
Give
did
Predator
that
a
on
turn, damn it.
purpose because of Predator. I know you did,
Why
bro.
do you
I
keep
fell
pulling them up
for it.
like that? They
I
ain't right.
fell for yo Predator. I am so sorry. I fell for it. I fell for his shit again, man. But dude, you know
Get you every time, man.
you know the Bloomberg report, man. I know you get into the business side of gaming and stuff. I know business is kind of like your thing, brother. So what do you think when it comes to the shortage coming out? What do you think when it comes to the price point? You heard what Don had to say, but definitely like share your thoughts. Why do you think this shortage is happening? Do you think it's marketing? Do you think it has to do with what's going on with the world? Do you think because to me it's a little strange that they're coming in less than what they did with the PS4, bro.
Man, I really don't. I don't think with what's going on in the world right now. I think everything's kind of like in a flux right now. So like, you can blame it on a bunch of things, like with just
It's
production.
kind of like the perfect cover. If you were having heating issues, it's kind of like the perfect cover at
I wasn't
this
even
point in
gonna
time.
go there, but I will say
I will be the one to say it, okay?
if that's the case and this is their cover, so be it. But I'm going to look at a different spectrum of it and just say that with things going on right now, um, they may have a problem getting, the resources they need to actually produce a console, and all that stuff is going to start slowly trickling downhill. You look at, them pulling back with Last of Us. What's the other game? Ghost of Tsushima. We haven't heard anything about that, and that might get pushed back. The console. Like I've heard like literally no shit that they were just completely thinking about pushing the PS5 release date back to. So like I've heard that. I've heard people say that before. Now I don't know if that's going to happen because they can still make the console, but like I don't think they're going to be able to make as many as they want to make. And in a weird business sense, they don't really need to. Like those games, if they're gonna put the new games on the PlayStation 5, they may be able to take that hit for now. But I think going forward, like if it lasts until like the middle of next year and they haven't come out the PlayStation 5, look at it this way. Do they really want Microsoft to get the jump on them again this gen? Like they did with the 360?
Do you think they have a choice though? Like, because
Yeah, you're right. They don't have like they could just put less consoles out, but like if they can't launch the way they want to launch, would they really just push back the console a whole another 6 months to a year?
Well, as much as I do. Like sometimes these guys are using the same manufacturers, right? And sometimes bigger bucks kind of override, the smaller guys, right? Like they'll get to you a little bit later. So if a particular manufacturer is spending more money to have more consoles made and you have more stuff set up in the queue, you may be positioned as a company, right, to kind of not so much block them, but kind of slow down the production of another manufacturer. And that's a possibility in this particular situation. Do you think that's possibly true? I mean, Microsoft's going to be supplying their servers with the Series X. They're going to be supplying the general public with the Series X. They have more incentive to produce more consoles earlier at launch than their competitor. And I'm wondering if that plays into this.
It does, and I think Microsoft is like their stance on is like they're still coming out. Like they've been so vocal this gen, well, we'll say this year about the Series X coming out that they have not backed down whatsoever when it comes to production or anything. Whereas the other like Sony, they haven't really talked about anything, and so it makes you raise an eyebrow on what's really going on behind the scenes, especially from the production standpoint of because you're hearing like we talked about before. I said, where there's smoke, there's fire. So, like, if you keep hearing it from multiple sources, obviously something's up. They're not coming back. And, like, when they had, what was that rumor that came out a couple of days ago? And Sony came out quick and was like, nope. But, like, they haven't.
Games going to PC. But they didn't really say no. They said their whole thing to it, those games are not announced as going to PC. Like, I thought that what they said, how they said it, because, PR talk, they comb over every word before they come out and officially kind of like say something. It was really kind of like iffy on whether or not like those games would actually end up on PC at some point.
Well, my whole point is that they came out and they responded to it, right? Like they came out and they said no. No matter how they said it, they came out and they made a response to it. They've not made a response to their production issues right now. Like typically, like if they were trying to get ahead of this, they'd have come like, yeah, we're still coming out. Like Microsoft said, we're still coming out. We're still planning on a holiday release. You know, maybe it might not come out in August or September like we wanted to, but they still said holiday release, which to me is like November. Sony hasn't done that. They haven't given us jack shit. So like we don't know. And that's what I'm saying, like the whole with everything going on, like we really don't know what's happening behind the scenes. So it really can't, it's hard to listen to other people talk about something they don't know about, but the writing's on the wall. Because I've not heard anything from Sony at this point as far as their console release. You know, they'll tease us with some specs and a controller every now and then, but like that's not what we want. We want a date. We want to see what this thing looks like, and no one's seen that yet. And so it makes you kind of start questioning things and what's really going on, especially with all these rumors
Because
circulating.
they're just waiting for Microsoft to announce something.
Probably. I mean, I can see that.
So they can snipe them.
So they can snipe. They're sitting there, with the scope up to their eye. They're like,
Yeah,
we're
that's
just
exactly
waiting.
what they do.
Did you just call him a camper? Is that what you just did?
Right, yeah, that's exactly what they do.
Oh man!
By the way, I found a console that was it was actually the Destiny bundle. You should have known this, Xbot.
Destiny 2 bundle does not
Destiny
count.
1 bundle, not
yeah,
the
but it
Destiny
doesn't.
2.
But it doesn't count because you know why? It's not a launch console.
You tell
It doesn't
him.
matter.
You tell him,
It's
Dark. We said
450.
launch
We were talking
console.
We're
about
saying it's-
launch
been looking
console.
for
It
that shit
doesn't
for an hour.
count.
No. I said I bet you there's a
Dark,
custom
give him this
console.
one.
Sure
man.
enough.
Just give him this one, bro.
I'll give him this one, I guess.
All right.
He's not gonna shut up about it. So
he might go and tell on you to his buddy Crap Gamer real quick, and then
Oh,
you're
might
gonna
Lord
have.
have mercy.
no, he'll drag me to hell and
Yeah.
make me burn for an eternity. That's what he'll do.
Oh my goodness!
Well, you
No.
said it.
And no one's ever got burned from UV rays. What are you talking about?
That is true.
All right, so Pred, real quick to get back on topic and to get to what you were talking about, I kind of pride myself as the person that will kind of like say things that maybe most people won't want to say. Now, rumors about overheating and stuff like that, which are just loosely based rumors. I will say, if they are true, and this is the reason why, and this is the reason why they might kind of like push back. You know what? With everything that's going on in the world right now, we will never actually know. You know what I'm saying? But to me, it just seems really funny that all the questions right now are on PlayStation side, where, Phil Spencer came out. He's like, yeah, we could be agile. Yeah, we're coming out the holiday this year. We could be agile with pricing, coming out so kind of like confident. And with Sony, there's rumors of concerns, rumors of shortages, rumors about production cost and stuff like that. Like the weighing out here is really uneven. You know what I'm saying, man?
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, it seems like one company is really confident in what they're coming out with, and another company doesn't seem like they're really ready to show it because they're not confident about it. But we're not going to know until, obviously they, as saying they, as in Sony, put something out there, makes a statement or something like that. Right now, we're all just guessing. But like I said, when you have enough people saying the same thing, whether it's overheating or something about their production and getting the console out, like you're hearing it from multiple sources, it's starting to sound like it's true, and they haven't gotten ahead of that yet. It's like Microsoft back in the day when rumors would fly about certain things, and Microsoft would never come out and say anything. You're getting the same thing from Sony right now.
And then when they did, they just completely screwed it up anyway. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's a total truth. I mean, think of it this way: like it's almost switched the narrative. Like now it's PlayStation's reeling. I mean the controller. Okay, all right. Anything else? We want to see the console. We do. I think every single person on this panel wants to, say, okay, I want to purchase that or I don't want to purchase that. You know, you don't even have to do the price. You know what I'm saying? You show us the console, show us what it looks like. Have some confidence, for the love of God. Like, I'm not used to this. I'm not used to PlayStation. Dude, I mean, I remember when Xbox came out in 2013, I was like, Jesus Christ, I ain't buying that. And I was dude, I went 2 years in before I bought it. I'm dead serious. Like, I was playing the 360 for 2 years into the Xbox One's life. Okay, so you can sit here and tell me that I'm being naive or whatever, but we're saying it just the opposite effect. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, you know, hey, Phil has said 100 times, we started, you know, developing this in 2016. That's a long time for a development cycle for a console. You know what I mean? And clearly they thought about the process. I mean, it looks totally different than what we've seen. And you know, if you go back and watch, Mark Cerny said we want to make it look like a traditional console, and I think that's the wrong thing to do, because you're getting in the realm of trying to make it work like a PC but look like a console, and I don't know if that's going to work, because PCs have basically stayed a tower for our entire lives. You know what I'm saying? So there's a reason for it.
That's due to convenience of working on them, not so much functionality.
Okay, but the functionality, which the breakdown is there on the Series X,
which is replacement parts, is what the reason why they do that. Series X has similarities to a PC, but I don't really think it's not even in the same category, because it's not.
But the DAW process is there. Come on, the DAW. Come on.
No, it's not. It's not at all. It's a split motherboard. It's totally different than what a PC normally would be, right? Like, the whole concept's different.
But what I think what he's saying, Don, is that the Xbox One X had to make the changes to not look like a traditional console because of the power that's inside the box, and PlayStation is going to have to try to do the same thing as well, but they want to try to keep it traditional, which that's probably where they're having their problems at, because for whatever reason it's probably not getting enough airflow, things like that. I don't, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think what Crispy's talking about.
Yeah, it's all speculation. I'm not saying
but
that it's
I'm just saying it just doesn't hold much water. That's why I say don't go down that. I mean, here's the thing. I'm not going to disagree with people just to disagree with people. I disagree with people so they don't go down the wrong path.
You
right?
disagree with people because you're an asshole.
Well, there is that, but I mean, but I'm like the friendliest asshole you ever meet. So
that is true, man. That's why we're friends, dude.
Yeah. I think Xbox and PlayStation are playing a game of chicken. They want to see which one who's gonna, you know, go first with the pricing. They want to see who's gonna go first with, you know, I mean, Xbox has already shown off the console, so Sony's kind of like, I think what they're really waiting for is to see what Microsoft comes out with whenever they decide to do their opening presentation of the Xbox Series X, and they're gonna just snipe them on Twitter with a picture of the console of the PlayStation 5.
That's not going. I'm not going with that at all, because Sony has been doing that type. They would have sniped somebody immediately once the X was shown.
I don't think that they did that because of the fact
no. This is totally not Sony.
The rumor that the Series X was farther in development. I think it was the opposite. I think PlayStation 5 is got more development to do.
PlayStation 5 is not in trouble at all. They are still at the process of you know, figuring out what they want to do with the pricing on that console. That's basically where they're at. They haven't shown the console yet because they're waiting on to see what freaking Microsoft's going to do with the pricing. That's what they're doing.
Okay, but that makes no sense. Why
it doesn't make any sense to you, but it makes sense.
It don't make no sense to anybody. Come on. Wait.
It makes sense in the business.
No, it makes no sense to not show a console. I can understand about the pricing, but to show the console, that's a legitimate reason
because they want to show
because it's going to look totally different than the Series X.
Hold on. They've normally have shown off the console and given us the pricing for the console, every single time that they've showed off a console, and
They
that's
didn't show when they
exactly
showed the
what's going
PlayStation.
on.
That's not
they're
true.
going
They didn't show the
traditional.
Yes,
PlayStation.
they did. Yes, they did.
Wait a minute. They did not show. They did not say the price of the console when they showed the PlayStation 4.
All right, I
back in
gotta
March.
interrupt this real
They
quick
didn't.
before.
They didn't tell the price. They didn't tell the price until
Okay, Mega,
E3.
they did it with the Pro.
Hold on,
so
guys.
that's
Hold on,
the
real quick. You
bullshit
guys,
representation.
you guys can, I'll ring the bell.
The
You guys can
Pro
go
is
in.
mid-gen though.
Yo,
I'm talking about when the
I
reveal
will
of the
ring the
PlayStation
bell.
4.
Yo, K Mega, I will ring the bell. You guys can go back in right after I do this. Otherwise, the super chats are just gonna get crazy. Yo, shout out to Seafood Poetic, X Initiative. He said, "What about that PlayStation bot companion?" Dude, I gotta catch up on that still. I heard about it real quick before the show. And he said, like, basically, I meant bot companion. Yeah, I understood what you were saying. I will say, when it comes down to it, that is a Japanese culture thing. Over in Japan, they love robots. They love robots and the things that they can do, playing with, for amusement and whatnot.
Yeah, that's probably exclusive to.
It's
Japan.
starting. That culture is starting to come over here, over to the West. We see like little robot dogs and stuff.
Dog next to me. I'm sorry, it's not happening.
Yeah, but
It's yeah, but our culture is not. It's not like the Japanese culture where they definitely are specifically for robots. We're not that type of culture.
It's big. It's big over there. Way bigger than it is over here. Yo, shout out to Sir X-Man one more time, brother. Yo, you are doing my heart proud right now, man. He said, I thought Sony was the hardware king. What happened? What happened? Yo?
They're afraid to show their hardware.
They're not. No, they're not. They're not afraid.
If they're not, then why we haven't seen it?
They
Why
are
we haven't
not
seen it?
afraid, dude.
Then
They
why
are
they
not
haven't seen
afraid.
it? Then why we haven't seen it?
No. I
See
think
what
Goldblum
Microsoft
is on a.
Okay,
Crazy,
all right.
man.
I think
They're
Optimus is
waiting.
on something where they're playing a game of chicken, and you know what? They don't have like look, Xbox could take probably a $30 loss per console and still make it up in subscriptions or anything
Make it
else.
up with the Lockhart, baby.
I don't think that PlayStation can do that. And you know what?
They're not
You can sit here
wanting
and say you can sit here and say I'm looking at numbers, I'm looking at money that doesn't involve me. That's fine, but I mean you're talking like two different realms as far as, we have a Fortune top 10 company every year, or a Fortune 500 company. You know what I mean? Like you can't ignore that. Like they only have certain amount of funding for their aspect, and is it worth it? And I think that's why they're going to PC and stuff like that. Like they're trying to get their software out there because their software is worth a look at or playing or whatever. And I think PC gamers are going to enjoy the hell out of it. And that's where I go and say you're going to sell more software if you put it on at least the PC. You don't have to put it on Xbox.
I'm not for their whole chicken race that they're doing right now. I'm more along the lines of what, kind of like what Microsoft is doing, where they're showing stuff, they're telling us things, they're letting us know. They learned so much from 2013, and I know a lot of people hate to go back to that, but they've learned so much from 2013 that they're like, we cannot have another one of those things happen to us ever again, and they know, and that's the beauty of us, Americans. We don't usually forget about stuff like that, and the internet
hear that
doesn't
phrase
forget
too
about
much. The
stuff
beauty
like
of
that.
us Americans, like I don't hear.
Well,
that.
we always call out that 2013 like that was a debacle.
Exactly.
It was bullshit.
So they know that they have to continue to speak what they have out in the market. They have to always let us know what's going on their end. Sony doesn't feel like they have to do that because they've made so much money this generation off of the PlayStation 5.
Why do
They
people keep speculating on this? They've already told you what they're doing. They told it a while ago. They said they're going to do more Apple Light type events, where is when before the product comes out, really closer to launch, they're going to announce everything. They're going to do like a I don't know who the Apple guy was that died, but the guy used to wear the sweaters.
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs, dude. Jesus.
Yeah, whoever he was, right? So, anyways,
Whoever he
Oh my gosh.
That motherfucker.
but
That's the
but-
quote of the night right there.
Actually,
yeah.
I agree with the Don because he was actually an asshole in real life. Just saying.
yeah, well, he's a successful asshole. But anyways, some people are nice assholes, some people are successful assholes. But anyways, regardless, they want to mimic that in regards to that. So I don't know if it's afraid or anything. Like I wouldn't do any speculation. I mean, I think there's been a shift in structure from Sony, and I think people keep relating to past tense of when the PlayStation 4's launch, and that's not happening this time around. I think it's pretty obvious, the way they're going
That's
to.
pretty obvious. I mean, we see
Yeah,
that with our own eyes.
yeah. You can take the roll out of the console. You can either take speculation negative or positive, but obviously they're taking a different approach, and it seems like it's more in line with how they rolled out the Pro, and then maybe it'll evolve a little bit from there. We'll see. But I just think people are pulling the fire alarm a little too quick. They're emotionally reacting to not having information, and it's letting people's imaginations run wild. Is what I'm seeing here, and I just don't think that's the case. I don't think any major mistakes are going to be done on these consoles, and I keep saying that, and I really do mean it. Now, will one become more popular? Sure, and then once one console is more popular than the other one automatically becomes crap in people's minds, and it's even though it's
such
not
bullshit,
true. I
like,
mean, it's
yeah.
that's just how it is,
the
though.
thing. Which one do you think will be the one that's more popular, Don?
That if
Dude, we
people
don't
can
even know the launch lineups yet. How can we even say?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
if people can honestly answer that question, I mean, they'll be making a lot more money than I would. I mean, like
They'll be
to be
investing
accurate.
already. Like,
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you can predict like people's reactionary type reactions to things, right?
Right.
Like, I think Microsoft thought, this reference back to 2013, they probably thought everything was fine. They're like, oh yeah, people are gonna be cool with this, and it's gonna be
Yeah.
excited. And I don't think it was malicious at all. But people took it a certain way once they released it, and they're like, "Oh, we misread that in the room, right?"
Right.
And obviously, it took a whole entire generation for them to kind of get in touch with their consumer base, and I think that's really the case, with this sort of thing. I mean, big corporate heads sometimes are out of touch with their consumer base. They're really smart people, but doesn't necessarily mean they're in touch with what those consumers are looking for. And I don't know if that's the case with Sony or not or anything like that. But I think they both have a long history of both companies making mistakes. And since they both have made mistakes, I don't see the same mistakes being done by either ones. If there is going to be any mistakes going to be done, it's going to be new ones. Entirely. I mean, that's the way I kind of look at it. I mean, I just keep warning people, just like don't be reactionary, like it's going to be so bad or anything like that, or they don't know what they're doing, or they have this issue or they have that issue. Like, pump the brakes a little bit. Like I know we're all excited to see stuff, but like I think all that stuff is kind of early, and I think everyone that did those predictions are going to pretend they didn't make those predictions.
According to rumors, we have possibly early May when we start seeing more when it comes to the Series X. I want to shout out. I want to shout out Sir X-Man real quick, hitting that super chat just one more time, man. He said, "I think next gen came too fast for Sony." And if you're talking,
oh jeez,
if you're talking about like if Sony was just comfortable being in this generation and everything, yo, dude, I would definitely agree with you on that.
No, they weren't.
If
they
could have stayed in this generation,
they already thought about next generation long ago already.
They were already
they were already
selling
thinking
2-to-1 worldwide long ago, bro. They when it comes to
they were already thinking about next gen long before anything. Before even after the PS4 and the PS4 Pro launched, they were thinking about next gen already.
Through super chat, we have a question for the Don. Shout out to Sovereign Cogito. What is up, brother? It is good to see you in the chat. Thank you for supporting the show. He said, question for Don. Can smart delivery work with Halo Infinite's co-op mode? Example, the Xbox Series X only co-op will have 100 AI and crossplay co-op will have 50. In other words, the Series X would have like 100 AI on the screen, and crossplay co-op, the Xbox One X would only have 50, because this has been an argument on Twitter going back and forth. There's a guy, Optimus Code, who used to be a developer, talking about games being held back due to the One X kind of like, still being supported with these games. So, and one of the things was my brother Crap was talking about, well, you can't do co-op and have like the 100 people on the Series X, the 100 enemies, and only 50 on the Xbox One X if you're co-oping together. So he wants to know if there's any way that can happen. Now, I will say, Don, I said they'll have the same amount of enemies on the screen, but what will happen is the One X would be, in terms of the lighting, in terms of the textures, stuff like that, will all be lowered down. So, the actual gameplay part can stay the same between the two. But what do you think, bro?
I think people are looking at it totally backwards when they're looking at it that way. I mean, people that say that sort of stuff, it sounds like they're talking from a couple generations back in regards to that.
That's pretty much where he came from, too. So.
Yeah, I mean, things are different right
Yep.
now. Like, games are made with excess, right? In regards to all that. So there's a couple different things. So when a lot of people develop games, they look at what the core mechanics are of the game. So, or let's say a shooter, they look at what distance they're going to engage the enemies, how far versus how close, right? And then they look at what type of refresh rate do they need in order to get the gameplay mechanics that they're looking for, right? And then they make all those decisions kind of around that. I think there's a philosophy, and an older philosophy. People are looking at the CPU, and they look at the CPU constraints, and then they design a game around that. No, we have plenty of access now to design however the game we want it to be. Look at the core mechanics of something, right? And then basically, you set loose the hounds, like people like myself that are the graphics guys, and they say, okay, I want to make something at the highest quality possible. Matter of fact, I'm doing stuff that cannot even be done on the Series X or on the next PlayStation as of right now. And that stuff is scaled down. Not only can it be scaled down on what we're getting on the next generation of consoles, it's going to be able to be scaled down onto, honestly, this generation of consoles pretty easily. And I think what also people don't realize is when you scale something on the graphics side of things, you do free up resources on the CPU side of things as well. They're not totally independent. They're somewhat tethered together. So you think of it like your foot being kind of tied together, and one leg's a little bit stronger than the other, right? That's good. That's kind of what happens.
I'm picturing that. That's a great picture, by the way.
Yeah, but that's kind of what happens on game development. So, someone could make the argument, well, I have this many NPCs on this console versus this NPCs on this console. But the core question is that a core mechanic that what the game should be made? And if it is a fundamental core mechanic, that what will end up happening is it just won't make the lower end console if it's fundamental. I mean, that's just kind of how that goes. But I have yet to see a game, or even in a prototype stage, that says 100 NPC characters are totally necessary for to make this game operate. I mean, a good example, if you take Assassin's Creed, right? You have NPC characters in that world that are like non-essential, right? They're just kind of dumb AI running around.
They took them out.
Yeah, you can scale that back, right? Like, they're not essential. They're not.
They had
really
to, because it was CPU intensive, and like the game was running like crap on the PS4
so,
at that point.
But that's a non-essential mechanic, right? Like, it has nothing to do with anything. So you can scale that back, right? So what the developers look at is what is non-essential, what can be scaled back, and what we can create that overhead at. So I mean, there's so much flexibility in games. There's so much excess done in games today that are just simply not necessary to put in games. So if a developer wants to do it, they can. And even to a point where you can take what's that game that everyone likes with the white hair,
Witcher?
Witcher 2, right? Witcher 2 was
Witcher
never
3,
meant.
I think.
Was it Witcher 3? Yeah, Witcher 3.
Yeah,
Witcher
Witcher
3 was
3.
never meant for the Switch. It was never developed with the Switch in mind, but they were able to scale it to it. Doesn't look pretty. Doesn't look like these current generation consoles, but the game
it's not a smaller world either, which is something that people have been saying. I think when it comes down to this, Don, I think when it comes down to this is he's asking, because this is again, this has been a point. This has been an argument on Twitter back and forth between people. Would they go with the 50 people there? Which I feel like what they would do is they would keep like the 50 enemies. That's the big thing. Enemy kind of like AI. So
if
it's core.
If it's core essential for the gameplay,
Then they'll
and
keep
the
the
other
100 and lower everything else on the lower
they'll lower
system.
everything else. And if they still can't get it to run on that hardware, then they won't release it on that hardware. But they look at it if it's a core essential component, right? If it's what makes the game, then that's not part. That gets priority. Like for example, like modern day, we could have this generation. Now, and we're gonna break a lot of hearts here because it's like gets into almost religious territory with gaming here. But we could have technically done every single game we released this generation 60 frames per second if you made it a priority in your development. But they chose because it wasn't a priority in their development.
So you would have sacrificed.
So they get that resources and they applied it to other places, right? So that's what I'm saying is like if they think it's a core element, and this is where I don't want to say I want to speak for every developer because I think that's completely ignorant too as well. When you say stuff like that, you have to look at the circumstances. If it's a core element of the game and you can't, no matter what you do on the lower console, you cannot scale it. Guess what happens on the PC side of things? You don't get that lower spec option, right? And that's what's going to happen with the new console side of things. So developers are going to look at the stuff and they're going to look at it, the core elements of their game, independently of what's in the hardware, just what makes the game the game. They're going to develop at the highest end. They're going to scale it down across the board to whatever consoles they can do, and they go from there. And that's just what's going to happen. So,
dude, it's something that I've been trying to say when it comes down to it. The enemies are important, and of course, Xbox, like they said that they are going to support the Xbox One when the Series X comes out. For a year, maybe a little over a year or so, having that kind of like the smart delivery. But when it comes to like the core element, the enemies that you're battling, they'll keep it at 100. But where you will see the difference is on the lower hardware, the less powerful hardware. You're going to see a difference in the lighting. You're going to see a difference in textures. Whatever they got to do to shave it back to keep the game maintaining the same as the higher hardware. You know what I'm saying?
And everybody thinks like they're going to dump it into more enemies or this smarter, and they could, but if you go into a publisher, which game do you think is going to win? The one makes it look more beautiful, ray tracing, right? And say a higher refresh rate, which are some of the easiest things to take advantage of on the newer hardware, and maybe some new physics stuff, which is all scalable and all removable. I mean, you remove ray tracing just from a game alone, how much overhead do you just created?
Up a lot.
Yeah, so like people are not thinking in that sense too, right? Like they're thinking of like because these games still have to be pitched to someone that's flipping the bill. So if they're pitching a game, they're saying, I got this AI, it's going to be do this and do that, and you're like, yeah, but show me. Well, I'm not going to have it ready for like 8 months, but trust me, it's going to be really good. But then they're going to be like, but I can show you this ray tracing stuff right now. Yeah, let's do that. That's what's going to happen, right? Because there are pitches you have to be made to your publisher, and you have to be responsible for what you're producing and stuff like that. And then be honest with you, AI it needs to be moved to the cloud. Locally on the console, I think it makes in the future it makes no sense. In the immediate, it makes sense now, but you can free up so much resources with AI, and AI doesn't have to be.
But dude, what about people who don't play with an online connection, though, man? Come on.
Well, they'll be missing out on the best possible experiences they can be having in the future. I mean, that's
wow.
I mean,
are you going to tell them to go to 360, man? I don't think you want to do that.
I mean, they already got a PlayStation 4 and Xbox One.
No, I mean, like it's not like they're going buying games at a GameStop right now. Like, I mean, just be honest, like. We're in a different world where people are playing more and more online, and like I feel for you, but you're not going to have
games need patches, day one patches right off the gate now.
Yeah, and you can't have a full experience without online on most games, right? So Yeah, I get where they're coming from that, and if you're you have to have everything locally on the box, I hear you, but maybe PC is maybe a little bit better platform for you going forward, because that CPU budget will continue to go up. But I think low latency, I think AI it's got huge potentials because CPUs just they're not developed fast enough like compared to GPUs. Even these next generation CPUs, which are much better than the predecessors, are still nothing close to the progression we've seen with GPUs. But I'm keeping a Predator too long, way past his bedtime. So let's keep
Yeah.
on going.
I'm like,
Yeah,
God
no
damn,
doubt.
he asked one question. We've been talking for
I
30
want, I
minutes on the
want,
same fucking
I
topic.
just want to hit that super chat one more time.
Damn,
Shout out,
Don was on his bloody action
Yeah.
tonight.
All
On his
right.
bloody numbers tonight. God damn.
yo, shout out to Nimble one more time. And hitting up that super chat, and they just want to hear one thing. So I hope this was worth the wait. Battletoads.
Nope.
There you
Turds!
Wasn't worth the wait at all.
There you go, Nimble. I
Battle
hope you
turd!
enjoyed. No, that's not what they asked for. Okay. But K Mega, did you chime in on the in terms of the PS5 kind of like shortage for the launch and Bloomberg's article? I don't think you did, because usually you say something memorable and I have it in my head for
Yeah, he
for
argued
whatever
with me
topic.
about it.
No, I didn't. I mean, I'll make it quick because I actually made a video talking about this, and there was another thing. I don't know.
And where can people check out that video, bro?
Well, no, I haven't sent it out yet. So I mean, I made it, and so because it was I put an article that was in Next and GRG, so you check it out, which was also talking about the shortage of what's going on, plus that Sony might just have to scrap scrap the year. So
yeah, they're kind of
because
like structured for the release and kind of
yeah,
push it back
because
and stuff.
because there's so many things that's going on or whatever, and that's from a Game Rant. But I'm not going to go too long on this. I'm just going to make this point. I find it odd because it hasn't been the Sony way. Sony has always let people know about their products. They have never been ashamed to show their TVs, their stereos, their Vizios. I mean, not Vizios, but the Vios, the laptops, things, whatever. They have never been afraid to show anything. And so on this, for anybody to think that, oh well, it's a ploy because of the price. Why would price have to do with anything? When you just want to show off the hardware, you showed the controller. Why you can't show off the console itself? That's why I was saying, like what Fred said, what other people have been saying. Look, there's smoke, there's fire. I think I don't say Sony is going crazy and about to, is running amok. I'm just saying that I think maybe they might have a problem with production at this point in time, and also of the design of the box. Because I think that there is something that maybe Mark Cerny wants to do, is have the box look like a traditional console, but maybe that could all be tied in too with the heating issues, and so maybe they have to make a redesign, which was also part of that article that was in Game Rant today. So it's a lot of factors and crazy situations going on. It is so abnormal. Normally, anything that Xbox does, Sony comes back, and for whatever that's been going on, it's not. You show a controller. When Xbox showed the controller, the console, they showed they showed the look of games from Hellblade and from Halo, and just everything, and then everything else with what's the components within the Xbox.
They even had YouTubers putting it together.
Right. Like, I mean, and Sony is not getting. All you have to do, this is it right here. This says it all right here. All you have to do is just flip it. Just flip the situations. Say if Xbox was doing what Sony was doing, and see how the gaming public would react to it, and then that just answers your question right there.
Yeah.
That's it right there.
Yo, I hear you, brother. I hear you. And the funny thing is, and people don't want to hear it, but I was hoping for information to come out to put the rumor about like overheating and stuff to rest. Unfortunately, with what we're hearing from Bloomberg and stuff, it kind of,
ties
I'm
in.
not saying that it's the reason why, but it keeps it on the table. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
For discussion.
This the difference, Debat. This is what you're doing, and it's admirable. But let's just think of this if this was a pro Sony podcast, and like I said, you flip the situations. There wouldn't be anybody on the pro PlayStation side that would say this is just speculation and rumor. This would have been fact. This is the truth. This is what's going on.
That's why
And
I'm
then it
King
would
Neutral,
fester.
brother.
Hey, well, no, I'm just saying, and this would fester, and it would make a life of its own. The one thing about it is that people are being nice on our end by saying, "Look, this is a rumor. This is all speculation. Take it as a grain of salt." But there is something going on with this, and it may be just one or two little things. It could be the management issue. It could be, but it's something going on. And yeah, the whole chicken about the price, that whole thing with the price, yeah, they're waiting for Xbox to say the price, but that's still, like I said, it's not supposed to stop from showing what the console looks like, because you're going to show a price with the console. Are you thinking that's what people are going to be like? Oh shit, that's what I'm talking about. Oh my god, this is $100 cheaper, and this console looks hot, or the console looks ugly. No, the only thing that they're going to care about is the price. That's all that it mattered last gen. It's not going to matter about holding and showing what the box looked like. That I don't know. I know what you do, Otter, and stuff, but if that's what you think that they're doing, that's a fail in its own self.
Well,
You know what I'm saying?
if Sony
that's crazy. That's
if
crazy.
Sony knows there's a Lockhart out there, because the both companies kind of, they have a good idea of what's going on the other side. It's how Sony last generation. The only thing is their last move is what put them over the top with adding doubling the amount of RAM in the PS4, because before that it was thought it was going to have, I think it was 4 gigs of RAM, and that's what Microsoft kind of set up for, and they doubled it kind of like last minute in terms of development, last minute. You know what I'm saying? And that caught Xbox off guard. So they would have a pretty good idea of what's going on the other side. If Sony knows there's a Lockhart, they know they're not going to have the price narrative,
the price
either.
advantage. Yeah, right. And on top of that, it's like Xbox is like, it seems like they're baiting them. Like, hey, we're showing you what we got. What you got? Why are you not showing it?
Yo, for
that's why I'm like, I mean,
I see
like,
that.
yeah, like, I mean, their confidence is ridiculous. Like, it's like, we're not afraid about production. We're not afraid of showing you what our console look like, even though it looks different than a traditional console. We're not afraid to show you the specs, what's in this box, the power. We're not afraid to talk about our SSD. We're not afraid to talk about anything about the games, about smart delivery, about all these other things that was in this box. But PlayStation, on the other hand, is showing you bits and pieces. And that, to me, is kind of like, is where Otter was talking about the whole sitting back camp and sniping thing. How I look at this is maybe Sony is not taking this serious enough, and this might be like the tortoise and the hare. They thinking that they're the hare and Xbox is the tortoise, and they thinking because they ran away with this generation that Xbox can't catch up just because they listen to their fan base, while Xbox is just slowly just doing everything that
new generations can change stuff.
New generations can change in a heartbeat. All you got to do is just look at the PlayStation 3 360, and if PlayStation does get pushed back for a whole nother year, and then with the crazy messaging with what Sony is doing this generation, starting off, this is turning out to be just like the PlayStation 3 360 era. I mean, right off the bat, because you get.
If you release a console later and it's less powerful, that messaging is, that's a hard one to swallow.
Yeah, that's
really
a hard
is.
thing. Yeah. So maybe.
I mean, I don't think it's going to, but like that would be rough. If that happened.
Right, and that's the thing that confused me about it, because even if, okay.
Damn, I did not notice the time. Go ahead, brother, but we gotta wind it down after this.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Let's get
Holy
out of here, man.
crap, yo,
Let's get
time
out of here.
flew by.
Don was talking, man. Don was over here doing some
Yo,
talking,
blame
bro.
Don.
I went and was talking to the old lady. I was sitting there walking around doing some stuff, man. I came back. I was like, "What the hell? Don's still talking?"
Yep, blaming on
King
everybody
Megan's
else.
like, I put on pants and
My God.
he's
Oh no.
still going.
I'm still walking around in the drop. No, I'm playing. Oh man. Anyway. Oh,
Gross.
God.
All right, guys.
Oh no. Hot.
You guys ready to wind it down? I think.
Yeah, let's wind it down.
Shout out to everybody. You know, somebody put in the chat that these topics were they were not interesting. They were boring. But yo, huge shout out to everybody who hung out with us. We're still at about right around 150 people. Yo, huge shout out to you guys. You guys are the real MVP. We are winding down the show, and you know, like a 40-year-old with a comb over, it is time to get those plugs in, and I am definitely gonna start with Predator this time. Predator, what do you got going on, bro? And where can people go to talk games with you, man?
Oh man, not much, but I go pick my kid up from work. Next podcast next Saturday. Predator _HOS pretty much everywhere. I'll see you guys next week.
Nice, brother. Nice. Yo, let's go to Crispy Bomb. I'll put you second on the list this time. I feel like I put you down deep when it comes to the plugs, man. You definitely show up. You know, you're a part of more shows than this. So let people know where they can go to hear that hashtag Crispy Truth, and let them know where they can go to talk games with you, bro.
Hell yeah, it's always a pleasure with all you guys. I mean, we started with 2. Just keep that in mind.
I know, right?
but you know, it's Crispy Bomb on Twitter, and you can find me on Retro Renegades Tuesday night. And I was hurting when I missed last week, so you can find me on the next podcast Saturday night. And yeah, you know, hit me up on Xbox Live. It's Crispy Bomb 28. And if you want to learn how to play Gears, which has become a very popular game, at least on my friends list, which is approaching like 500 people, you know, enjoy the game. You want to learn how to play it, I'll help you out. I really will.
Crispy saying he will carry you guys. Yo, shout out to my brother Vogel. Vogel's Creek hitting up that super chat saying, I got 20 minutes left of work and a 20-minute drive home. You can keep going. Great show. Hit the like button. Guys, you got to listen to Vogel. If you haven't done it yet, slap that thumbs up button for us. Let people know that you had a great time tonight on the next podcast. And Crispy will carry you in Gears multiplayer. I swear, he said that, yeah. Yo,
well, those words just came out of my mouth, apparently.
Yo, Don, as usual, great to have you on. Yo, I think you solved an issue, something that people were talking about on Twitter. That is one of the best things that can happen on this podcast. I love when we can clarify things. You know, K Mega Predator said you talk too much, but you know, you had to put the truth out there. Why don't you let people know about your Mixer channel, because you are a streamaholic, and where they can go to talk games, bro?
You make it sound like such a bad thing, but
I think you're hooked, man. I don't know.
No, I love playing games, and all you have to do is hit the share button. I'm digging it. But yeah, I mostly best place to see me is on Mixer, which is Mixer /the Don_KTR, and almost everything I'm associated with is got that, the Don_KTR, my Twitter handle, and all sorts of other things. And yeah, I'll be on there as it is the premier area where Devin the Gamer will be launched, and then it'll be later on K Mega's channel. And then harass me and K Mega enough, we'll do another episode. That's usually how that goes. And if you feel like we need to do a new episode, throw some questions out there, some topics, and maybe we'll address those in the middle of the podcast. So
nice, brother. And let's go to my bro K Mega, who is not feeling well. He's got some type of illness. Take care of yourself. Drink a lot of OJ.
I just drunk a V8. Oh.
Oh damn, man!
Yeah.
I feel even worse for you now, yo.
Oh, bro.
But dude, it is always good to have you on the show. Yeah, you definitely get passionate. You know, you have opinions. You have thought out opinions. I think that's something that, a lot of other YouTubers out there, they can be opinionated, but they don't really think things out. Always love having you on the show. As usual, you're part of the family. Let people know GRG is tearing it up on Mixer right now. Let them know about that. Let them know about your YouTube channel and anything else you want to share, man.
Oh man, it felt like I felt bad. It seemed like I broke my boy's heart last night because he was after GRG. He was like, "You ready to do some Devin the Gamer?" And I could just see his face when he said that. And I was like
a little
nah,
dog wagging
bro.
his tail.
Yeah, like I was like,
I know if I don't
bro.
put pressure on K Mega, it doesn't happen. And if K Mega doesn't put pressure on me, it doesn't happen. And the reality it usually happens when everyone else asks us enough times independently, and we're like, man, we get a lot of questions about Devin the Gamer.
Right. And so I was like, that's when I was doing GRG, I wasn't feeling good. And so I was just going through it. And so, man, I was like, oh, no, bro, I can't. So I just
Man,
went
the last
straight
time
to
we
sleep.
streamed, you weren't looking good either. So just
No,
let
no,
you know.
no. Yeah, I know. I feel like dog shit right now. But it's yeah, no, you check out the GRG podcast. It's uploaded on YouTube, on my YouTube channel, KMega45, or you can go check it out on Mixer. I am going to try to will myself to play some games because I haven't played anything since I played Final Fantasy Remake the other day. So but yeah, no, check me out on Twitter, KMega at KMega4. And man, have a good one. See y'all next week, man.
Nice. And the reason why I kept this guy for last is because he's from the West Coast, and the further you go west, they go back in time. So I don't feel like we're taking up too much of this man's time. Angry Otter, Dark Optimus, aka Gold Bloom, brother, you got to get back to saving the world.
Look at Locke said, "Oh, you gonna put your hands on me, sucker? You gonna put your hands on me? Let me show you what you do."
I put that in there for you, brother. I
Look at that. You put your hands on me? Locke said, "Hell no, sucker. I don't give a damn about you being." He said, "I called you sir first. Look, pop, 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 pop.
Yo,
Show big ass up so you
Dark,
get some more of this work."
Dark, you notice how he talked over your outro?
Yeah, this is why
like, shit. This sucker. Fight.
This is why Locke is not coming back.
I like Locke, but this is why people
Halo
don't
Infinite.
like him.
Oh man.
Exactly. He's not coming back.
Who, me?
Never coming back.
Oh, Locke.
No,
Locke.
I'm talking about
I thought
Locke.
you said bot. Yeah, you see
Locke.
He said Locke's not coming back. He said Locke is DOA, bro.
You know Locke is Sarge's son.
Hey, outro, let's go.
Yeah, let's go.
Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at Dark Optimus. You can also find me on Xbox and PlayStation at the same name. And yeah, man, that's about it.
No doubt, brother. Yo, brother, you got to get back to. I know you went retired, for saving the world, but man, you see what the world is doing right now. You got to get back into it, bro.
No, I said fuck all those people, man. They're flopping all over everybody and shit like that. And fuck that.
Nice.
Stay away from all you fucks.
No, Sleepy, I do not feel good for another podcast. All I feel good for is seeing Locke throw hands on Chief like that. That was great.
Brother, Chief would slam that dude. Anyway, yo, when it comes down to it, guys, thank you
obviously
so
didn't.
much.
Hey,
so
Chief was gonna
much.
have that. He's gonna have that crack across his skull because that cost his damn visor, and that came from who? Hashtag save Locke. Shit.
Yo, guys,
all right. Yeah.
I had an absolute blast doing the show for you guys tonight. If you were as entertained listening and watching to the show as we are, giving it to you guys every Saturday, definitely hit that thumbs up button. If you haven't subscribed, definitely subscribe. There was so much news. I have so many videos I gotta make going into early next week coming up. It's gonna be insane. So definitely hit that sub button. Sit back and check out the content. But yeah, I'm gonna end the show the way I do every week. We will see you guys next Saturday for the next podcast. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Did you guys see that Predate's married to Jessica Biel?
We're out.
Oh wow.